Hello, hello. We are here. Welcome everyone to our latest episode of OnPoint, the Gaming Newscast. This is episode 51, guys. 51.
51st podcast.
Which means next week is 52. Okay, that's the way numbers work. But that's our 1 year. That's our 1 year anniversary.
That is our anniversary.
That's wild.
That's so exciting.
That's wild. I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for that. All right. If you don't know, I am C Money, and I'm joined with my amazing panel.
Oh, we're amazing.
You are amazing. So we have right on the other side where you can see her. That's my beautiful, beautiful doodle.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
And then right there in the middle, that picture.
Caricature is none other than...
That is our boy.
That's our boy.
Mad Man. What
I
is
am
going
pretty mad
on?
a lot of the time.
Are you just an angry boy?
I'm filled with rage.
Got it. Sounds good.
All right. Good to know.
Oh my God.
Good to know.
All right, guys. So listen, we have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. Juicy stuff.
This whole FTC merger trial with Xbox and Activision joint has just been the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
Right? We just have so much stuff that's coming out of here. Now, as it stands right now, we are done with the trial proper. Right? So the trial is over. Okay. So right now, it's about what is going to happen.
What's the outcome? Yes.
Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? Now, if you see the thumbnail, Xbox will win. This is just 100% factual agreement.
These are C Money's
factual
facts,
information based off of my opinion.
This is
so
Factually
it's
based on
100% factually going to happen. That is my
according
opinion.
to C Money.
It's my opinion.
Of course.
But
I have to agree with you, C.
Yeah,
I feel the same way. I think that this is going down. I don't see how we cannot. But then again, this is what we have to think about. We also thought it was a done deal when it first happened, right? And this has been dragged, for a very long time. And I didn't think it would, right? Even as it continued to go, I was like, okay, this must be the last step. There's no way that they're not seeing that this is Microsoft money. They're trying to buy Activision. And it should just be that type of transition. It shouldn't be this big of a deal. Also considering the fact that PlayStation's always been the leading, right? Leading in the market. Like, why would this not be a thing that just goes through, right?
Agreed.
I couldn't understand it. So right now, I also cannot understand how this won't go through. But, I mean, it's what we've been thinking all along.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. We're at that point where after seeing everything, and I've listened to the actual trial, I mean, all points lead to Xbox getting the W here.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that came out and took place that make that pretty clear. And for me, again, you can kind of try to nitpick things here and there and see where you can find the loopholes, which obviously if you're on the other side of the fence and you want this deal to be blocked,
you will find a way.
You're going to find the little loopholes.
Yes.
But I think no one who's actually listened to this, and if you're not just reading the headlines, but if you actually listened to it and you heard the judge and the way she spoke about the case and how she was speaking to the FTC about this, it's pretty clear that she has the right mindset.
Yes,
of what's expected from this.
She's not dumb. She knows exactly what FTC is trying to pull. A sick joke.
I think that's the biggest thing. You make a great point. They are trying to pull a freaking sick joke. They've been kind of, dragging this around. And we say this is coming to an end. I feel like this is just going to be the beginning of like the aftermath. Like, what is coming after this? What kind of emails will be leaked, regardless of which way
we
it
have
goes?
tons of emails that are
right?
leaked, so we're that's what we're going to be talking
What
about
kind of
today.
tantrums will be thrown? Like, this is going to be crazy. I just feel like there's a lot more to come from this whole mess.
Well,
I agree.
I mean, hopefully that equals out to less about the trial and more about moving forward, right?
100%.
Because there's so much more that we want to happen, that we need to happen in gaming, that has kind of been postponed. And again, we're going to dive deeper into a lot of those topics as we go in. But yeah, for sure, I'm ready to move forward with a lot of this. I'm glad
I
this
think
is coming
we
to an
all
end.
are. We've had enough of this back and forth.
Me too.
And
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
excited to see what else will Microsoft buy. I want to know what's next for Xbox, because I feel like this hit harder than they thought it would. It took longer than it was supposed to take. And I just want to know what's their
Doodle,
next move.
I got news for you.
Tell
we
me.
have a lot to talk about when
Let's
it comes
go.
to buying
Let's go.
and who's being bought. There's a lot.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
lot. All right. So just I wanted to start. Obviously we're not going to cover everything that exists from
Of
the trial
course.
from last week, right? But there are just certain things, right? So when I say I feel like this deal is essentially done, right? One of the things that the judge said, okay, and this was just amongst the FTC talking back and forth, the judge came out and she said this, and again, you hear it and it's like, where she already knows, right? She already knows where she is. So she asked the FTC, if Sony had a deal with Microsoft for Call of Duty, would we be here? Would this trial be taking place if Sony would just agree to the 10-year deal? So obviously, we know that they haven't, right? They're refusing to sign this deal. So the point of this is that she's saying we're out here, we're making this, we're having this big trial, everything has been focused around Call of Duty.
Yes.
And what happens if Xbox takes it away from them, and what will happen? Xbox has been under oath many times. Every executive that works for Xbox has been under oath here, saying that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation. So what the judge is saying is, if they just signed the deal, would this need to happen? Are we wasting time here? Right? Because the deal's on the table and they're refusing to sign.
Exactly. So what she's trying to point out is the problem. And the problem is Sony.
It is.
Yes.
It is. They're the only thing holding us back.
I mean, this is the situation. They've made it very clear they just don't want the merger. They don't care about the deal. And at this point, like, how much more can Microsoft bend backwards to go ahead and try to make this happen?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I can only imagine the frustration that the judge is feeling to get to the point where she's saying this, right?
Hey, Jacob, welcome, bud. Appreciate you
Jacob,
stopping in.
welcome.
Jacob.
But that's the thing, right? So she's, there is a sense of frustration,
Yes.
right? Because she's trying to figure out, like, why are we still talking about this, dude?
Everybody's
Because it
going
just makes
along.
sense.
Everybody's signing contracts. So the only situation we have here, and this has been like Sony's show. This has been all about them and the tantrum that they're throwing and their desire to elongate the situation.
But not only that, right? So another thing that came up, right? So the FTC, remember, this trial has been very long, right? And people, like internet people who are listening to this, right?
Yeah.
Who are listening to the trials,
Of course.
they're literally counting how many times the FTC has mentioned Sony versus the consumer,
Yes.
right? Like, it's a crazy scenario. Fanto, welcome, my friend. Thanks for hanging with us.
Fanto.
So-
Hi.
So
Welcome.
they literally have been counting it, and it's an absurd number. Like, people have counted like 72, like just in a couple days. Like, they mentioned Sony 72 times. They mentioned
Yes.
they mentioned the consumer like 5 times or 6 times, right? Like, the way that the FTC is handling this is just so blatantly positioning themselves in the side of Sony, right? Like it's blatant to the point where literally during one of their testimonials, like one of the times FTC was talking,
Yes.
they were talking about how we have to protect Sony. Like they literally said the words to protect Sony,
not the consumer.
Not the consumer.
So,
and the judge
yes.
immediately, without hesitation, said it's not the harm to Sony, it's the harm to the consumers. Okay.
Yes.
Now, again, when you hear that, like she understands, like she sees it. She sees what this whole game is about. You know, Jacob in the chat says, "I'll say launch an investigation into Sony."
100%. Yes.
Yes.
Facts.
Yes.
That
And
needs to happen.
Someone has to do it.
Once this is done, that should be the next step.
Bro, the FBI is going to be after these.
There's a
They
lot
should be.
going on. I feel like there were deals made. I feel
Collusion,
like,
man.
Yes.
Collusion. We saw the
100%.
emails last week we talked about this, where it came out, where Jim is talking to the FTC, telling them that there's no fear of Call of Duty being exclusive to Xbox. Yet, that's literally the argument
we are
that
trying
we
to
just
stop
spent
it.
days and days in court, hours upon hours,
Yes.
wasting taxpayers' money.
Dude,
to
that's a
fight
big
for them.
deal.
And you know, it becomes more real as you hear a lot of people talking about it, but it's true. What it feels like is the FTC is doing this whole big trial just to negotiate for Sony. Like they're negotiating on behalf of Sony
Yes.
to try to get them the best deal that they possibly can
But the
get.
question is why, right? And that's what I feel like should
Why
be the
is
aftermath that needs
Why
to
is
be
correct.
looked into. And let's not forget that this whole thing started because of the consumer, right? And it's been forgotten completely. Like supposedly this is what we were fighting for because Xbox was gonna end up making it exclusive, and it wasn't right for
That's
the
what the
consumer.
FTC was trying to say.
And it's
And-
been
and
lost
Sony was
in
trying
this
to say.
entire situation
because
And-
it's not real.
exactly. So the true
It's
colors
imaginary.
are coming out. It's crazy that they've gotten away with this for this long.
Yeah,
But-
it's pretty obscene. I'm really I just think that the FTC is really shady, and so is Sony. They're both shady. Like if Jim Ryan has literally said out loud that he's not worried, then he's just trying to push it and see if he can possibly fight it, knowing that he's still gonna get what he wants either way. He just says, "Can I have more of what I want, or can I just settle if things don't go my way for some of what I want?" Because in the end, he gets something that he wants.
Agreed.
Well, for sure, and we're gonna talk a little bit about our boy
Jimmy Jim.
Jim in a
Slim
little
Jim.
bit. But that's just like the hot take off the rip, right? It's just that's why when I look at this again, for me, 100% factual, the Xbox will win this case,
They will.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
foresee any other outcome.
I can't
And
see it.
listen,
I can't see it.
kudos to the judge. She's very cutthroat. She's not putting up with any nonsense.
Blunt, straightforward.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and no matter who's talking, even when Microsoft talks, like when the Microsoft lawyers are talking, she questions them too. But it's just not in like when she questions the FTC, it's almost like
Out of
you guys are
annoyance.
idiots.
Annoyance.
Like are you
Yes.
like you guys are stupid. So I have to ask you again, or I have to phrase this away so that you can understand that this doesn't make any sense of what you're doing.
Yes.
Like again, we saw last week how many times did she cut them off and
Mhm.
literally tell them to just like move
Shut
on,
up.
right?
Move on,
Stop
yep.
asking this question,
Let's go.
right? So Jacob in the chat, what he says, what Sony wanted was to still have marketing to COD in every ABK game. Oh, we're gonna dive into the email
Yes.
that Jim had the cojones to send to Phil. So we're gonna
wait,
be
wait,
doing
wait,
that.
wait, wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jim Ryan sent an email to Philly Phil.
Well, Xbox Phil
our
and
Philly Phil?
Jim were emailing about the deal.
Yo,
We're gonna
Let's go. I'm
we're gonna
ready.
dive deep.
Jim
We're
Ryan's
gonna
probably
dive
send a
deep.
threat. Back down now, or we will come for you, or some.
So one thing, there was an email. Okay, from our boy Matt Booty. Okay, now this is the thing about Matt Booty. Matt Booty has been getting a bad rap. Okay? So Matt Booty is the guy who's in charge. If you don't know, he's in charge of essentially the first party games. Right? So he is basically
for Xbox
who Phil was before Phil became in charge of everything. Okay, so he essentially took over Phil's job. So he deals with the first party studios directly that Xbox directly oversees.
Yeah.
But based off of everything, I thought Bethesda and the other guys, actually Bethesda for now, Activision will be coming on. But I thought Bethesda was reporting directly to Phil Spencer. But it looks like Matt also kind of gets involved with Bethesda as well. So I think he's just like overall looking at everything. But, you know, his main focus are the studios that are directly under Xbox, right? So Matt Booty, people have been blaming him about, you know, the quality of the games and all this stuff and the lack of games and everything. And we all kind of thought he was a bit of a bitch, right?
Oh,
I mean, that's just the reality, right? We thought he was just like this kind of pushover, right?
Said it.
So, but an email came out.
Okay.
And I want to go ahead and put this out there.
Let's go.
Matt Booty is talking to Tim Stewart, one of the higher ups at Xbox. What's up, Paige? Welcome. All right. So I guess Tim Stewart sent an email to Matt Booty, and Matt Booty is responding to that email, right? So thanks for sharing. A lot to digest here. We'll read it in detail. Okay. And to be clear, this is an email that came out after the whole testimonial was done that Matt Booty did last week. So this is just something that came out after. So a different view to the general view below might be that we, Microsoft, are in a very unique position to be able to go spend Sony out of business.
Dang, let's go.
If we think that video game content matters in 10 years, we might look back and say, totally, would have been worth it to lose $2 billion or $3 billion in 2020 to avoid a situation where Tencent, Google, Amazon, or even Sony have become the Disney of games and own most of the valuable content. For example, it is practically impossible for anyone to start a new video streaming service at scale at this point. What content do you base it on? Things like Hulu and CBS All Access will be trivial players in the space. In games, Google is 3 to 4 years away from being able to have a studio up and running. Amazon has shown no ability to execute on game content.
Oh,
content is the one moat that we have in terms of a catalog that runs on current devices and capability to create new. Sony is really the only other player who could compete with Game Pass, and we have a 2-year and 10 million subs lead. If we reverse course on day and date, it's going to be hard to convince folks that things like Mixer or xCloud have much of a chance of surviving scrutiny either.
Nice.
Man, fix that, please.
Fix what?
Right there. Yeah, fix it. No, fix it on the side. Okay, so there's a couple things that came out of there. The first one is the big one, right? The big shot that he took. And that's the one that gets all the headlines.
That's like a
right?
diss
That's
to every major company.
Spending Sony out of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
which they can easily do, by the way.
Yeah,
absolutely,
they can buy everything.
Out of business, no, but they can spend enough to make things really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the thing. This is like from 2019, right? So the FTC brought this up to try to be like, oh, look at what they're trying to do with this purchase, right? And, Microsoft dodged that. Like, no, this is old. This is before we even knew Activision was available. Like this, that's like based off of old strategy that is not relevant anymore. Okay. So I'm going to just call it like it is, right? Obviously, that's full of shit. Because this is exactly what the fuck they're trying to do right now, spending $70 billion, literally
Activision.
spending close to the amount of the actual worth of Sony to purchase Activision.
100%. Okay, so I'm
and
glad you said that
Blizzard
because
and
I was
King.
gonna call bullshit. Okay, that's a load of crap.
I mean, it's smart to dodge it in court, but the reality is the plan is still in play.
The question is did the judge see through the bull crap? Because it is full blown bullshit. It is exactly what they're doing. And they are trying to become the Disney of video games. What did Disney do? They went around and they bought
shit.
a lot of shit.
They bought all the important shit that exists.
Yes.
And as far as
like content, like
movies.
Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, well, Lucasfilm, and what was it, 20th Century Fox? Yeah,
yes,
everything.
Dude, they bought everything.
They did.
Everything.
And let's not overlook a very big factor. Because something is not popping right now, it doesn't mean that it will not be. Superhero movies were not popular, right? And then they became huge,
They were mildly
right?
popular,
yes, but like not to where they've been, right?
Yep.
So buying these things and then bringing them back, like even if they're not at its, highest, and this is the best
bought
time.
seeds and they were planting and
Thank
watering
you.
them.
Yes.
And for Marvel, it was successful. Star Wars didn't have the same level of success with Disney, but Pixar obviously did extremely well. Like, it was worth it. Fox as well.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
let's not act like Star Wars is some type of waste of life. Like
No.
Star Wars is
like if you look
No.
at
in
most
that
of what they
spectrum. Well, it's just that Marvel became more valuable because of Avengers and all that fun
Star
stuff. But Star Wars is
kind
huge.
of brought
No, I'm
back.
talking about like obviously they have legacy content that will forever be prevalent, but if you look at a lot of the newer Star Wars movies, they didn't do as well and definitely weren't as critically or beloved as their previous.
Yeah, but it's the brand that matters.
Bringing
right?
it
It's they
back.
own Star Wars. Like there's no debate on whether that is viable. Anybody, if they went now and said, "Hey, we're selling Star Wars," somebody's gonna buy Star Wars.
Yes.
Happy as shit to own it.
And it'll
right?
be worth a lot more than it was.
Absolutely.
And the point is that just because something doesn't have value right now, this may be the best time to buy. So that's
Agreed.
why I feel like Microsoft is out there snatching everything up because they are looking at it like the way that Disney has been doing with all the stuff they bought, right? You can bring it back. You can make something out of it.
Well, I mean, but this is not even bringing anything back. This is Call of Duty, right? Like there's nothing to bring back here. They're buying something to make it theirs.
We're
now.
talking, yes, but we're talking about Activision. I'm talking in general, the way that they're going out there and just like a shopping spree of like, they said it in the email, Disney has been doing this. Let's not let someone else become the Disney of video games.
Yeah, well, they're mimicking Disney because they
100%.
are literally out there looking to purchase these brands.
Exactly.
Right? Like that's what they're looking to do. They
And
want to
guess
make
what?
themselves irreplaceable in the industry.
What
Agreed.
has slowed them down? Jim, right? With his tantrums and everything that he's been doing. Maybe he knows that he can't stop this deal from closing, but he is elongating the entire situation, which keeps Microsoft from running out there and buying even more. So it's buying him some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Fonso in the chat brings out a great point. Let's face it. Jim Ryan was trying to play some 4D chess, and the result is that the PlayStation brand has damaged its reputation with hardcore gamers like myself and C Money. It's really disappointing.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. You make an exact point that needs to be made.
Yes.
Jim was out here thinking he was going to run shit. He
I'm
thought
the-
he's flying. He's
I'm
spending
the
his
puppeteer,
flyer miles
the
and he's going
master.
to Brussels and all these places to lay down his track, right? To make sure that he
Yes.
gets the way he wants it. And all he's done is he looks like
Ruin
a fool and he
everything.
makes PlayStation look
Like dog shit.
ridiculous, dude.
Yes.
And when this is
His
all said and done, it's
studios,
going to come out
guys.
that way.
Yes, his studios, the way that he's been out there talking and like essentially belittling his people, right? The people
Facts.
that work for him, his studios, as if they are incapable of producing games like that we love, like The Last of Us, Uncharted. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
his
ridiculous.
tactics were not correct.
Now, that being said, with all of this, Matt Booty talking about spending them out of business and all that stuff. Okay, let's be clear. They didn't break the law or they didn't break the law of competition.
No.
They weren't being anti-competitive by saying that they wanted to destroy their competition.
No, they're
because
being
that's competition,
That's
right?
being
It's
competitive.
Sony to do
competition.
better.
And they got to play the game that they can play. There's this guy, Colin Moriarty, right? He was part of IGN, and then he left IGN with Kind of Funny.
Yes.
So he helped form Kind of Funny with the group that did it. And then Colin is really controversial.
Okay.
And when like Trump and stuff was running, and he kind of said some things, and the rest of the squad doesn't, they don't jive with him, so he got out, right? So they bought his share of the company out, and he went and started his own thing,
Did they
which
kick
is
him
actually
out, or
yeah,
did
they
he
forced him out. They bought his share.
Of course he did.
I mean, it seems like Colin. It feels like they left on
good terms.
Well, not on good terms, but like he understood he just needed to leave because he didn't jive with them.
As
right?
good as they could be, right?
So he left and he blew up on his own side doing his own thing, right?
Okay.
And he's a big name out there, right? He has a huge Patreon. It's one of the biggest ones out there.
You
He's
either
really good.
leave on good terms or you go ahead and kick and scream like Jim Ryan is doing and look a fool.
I mean, good on him.
Hey,
right?
He
Tiger,
started his
welcome,
own
bud.
thing.
Welcome, Tiger.
But that being all said, right? He did this little. He always does these tirades, right? He has like this quest to find out how Xbox can function with Game Pass. He says he doesn't believe that they make money. All this fun stuff. He's just going on, but he just put out this long video, or it was part of his podcast, but he clipped it, where they're basically trying to say that Xbox just had to kind of buy themselves into this. That's all they could do. And that's the only way they ever have been successful or ever will be successful.
Okay.
And it's like, who the fuck cares, Colin?
Okay,
Like,
so,
who cares, dude?
all right. First of all,
like if they got the cash, they can spend
first
it.
of all,
they gotta do
this
it.
is proof money talks. All right. If you don't have the money, you can't do anything. Right? They can lay out this plan to buy all these companies and push Sony out because they can, because they have the money to do so. So I'm sorry, you can't belittle the power of money. And that's just ridiculous to try
They're just
to
mad
do so.
they can't do it.
Listen,
but they literally-
regardless of how you make it or how you do it, the point is to do it. And to speak on what you said before, nobody wants Sony out. I personally don't. They make great games, right? They do their own thing. Nobody wants anybody squishing out anybody. No. But at the same time, you can't stop anyone else from growing. That's just ridiculous to think that you can even try to do that.
And obviously
right?
that email wasn't, they don't actually want Sony gone, right? Because they make money off of Sony.
Exactly.
They don't actually want to destroy them. They just want to grow their business, right?
Yeah.
They want their business to grow.
It's like trying to push Nintendo out. You can't do that. Like, you shouldn't do that. Sense. Right? But this email to me sounds like, how we would be doing like kitchen talk. Like you sit there, you're talking, and it's like,
well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking
but it was
themselves.
Just through an email that just got leaked. And I don't know when people are going to learn that just like, have a private room where you go ahead and you bug out and say the things that cross your mind and stop putting these things on email. They always come out. Yeah, and again, I see nothing
but there's
wrong
nothing
with
wrong
this
with
email.
the statement, right?
100%.
That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with the statement. And what Colin was ultimately trying to say is that even with all that money, right? They had all that money and they still couldn't be
Jacob
the
made a
top
good point.
dog.
He's trying to say that Sony wanted to do to Xbox what they did to Sega. They wanted to be so big that they forced Xbox out the market.
100%.
And we're so big and strong.
Yeah.
And that's not happening.
Absolutely. Great point, Jacob.
Listen, that's a great point because that's how Jim Ryan came out when the news broke out about Activision. He thought he was going to be able to squish this out real quick. He was out there like a big dog, flying everywhere, having conversations that led to, essentially this elongated process.
Yeah, absolutely. They were just, listen, you got to remember, Xbox basically is like the Dreamcast 2, right? Like that's what they became. They became Sega 2.0.
Yes.
They kind of came in and took that spot, right? And Jacob's right. Sony wants to do that. They have actually said it. Like they were trying, like it came out in one of the emails somewhere, but like they were in the beginning, they wanted to destroy Xbox, like murder them, like literally delete them unlike how we're talking about Xbox wanting to destroy
Sony, destroy
and
you
get
all.
them out of business, right? They don't
Nice.
actually want them out of business. They just want to increase their side of it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, again, they said, what did they say? They said, let's compete.
Satya
Right?
Nadella said that.
He said, let's compete.
Absolutely.
Right? And obviously,
Aspiring
they've had
words.
their conversations and they're sick of being where they are.
They don't want to be second banana anymore.
Exactly.
Or third if you include Nintendo. So,
Absolutely.
And I think that, Big Daddy brought out that wallet and they know that they can go ahead and spend. And that's where they're at right now.
I mean, Xbox was always a player in the beginning. It's embarrassing as fuck to Nintendo, but in the first generation, when the Xbox came out, it actually outsold the GameCube, even though Nintendo was a much bigger name at the time than
Yeah.
Xbox. Which I'm like, yeesh.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, as far as wanting to destroy the other companies are concerned, like that's all good. What this trial is showing us, right, is that Sony is so afraid, right? They're so afraid because they're dinosaurs at this point, right? They want
Yeah.
to function in the old ways. They're refusing to understand that they need to move forward. There's so many nuggets that the judge dropped that we didn't talk about, and that I wasn't necessarily going to talk about, but they said so many different things. Like when they're talking about cloud gaming or Game Pass, right?
Yes.
They're concerned. Oh, well, if you put Call of Duty in Game Pass, then it's going to force people to go over there. And the judge is like, well, I mean, first she asked about the Thor game, she called it, which is the God of War Ragnarok.
Oh my god, the
Right?
Thor game.
And she asked, is God of War Ragnarok in the PlayStation Plus Premium?
Yes.
And the answer is no,
Well,
right?
no.
So she goes, well, I mean, if they put Call of Duty in Game Pass only, wouldn't that force Sony to up their game
Exactly.
and put their titles in and help the consumer because they'll put their big titles in PlayStation Plus, right?
yes.
Checkmate.
But
Right?
you hear these things and like you could tell she's like, dude, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Nothing that you're saying is going to sway me. Even if they had little tiny, partial victories in
hope.
some of their talks, it still doesn't outweigh how drastically they got
Because
destroyed by
it's
the Xbox.
ridiculous. And again,
By
I'm glad you
Microsoft.
brought this back up, C Money. Like the thought that that Game Pass is not making any money, it's ridiculous. Okay, but you got to go ahead and you got to get in somehow, right? You may not be making as much money as if you were going ahead and selling all these games and having everybody go ahead and buy them, which again, a lot more people are trying the games that wouldn't buy the game, right?
That's very true.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, what they are getting is that monthly subscription money coming in.
Yeah, no matter
right?
what.
No matter
They're
what.
spending the money
Whether
every month.
you go ahead and you have Game Pass and you don't touch it all month, you're still paying for that, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, I don't know. I just don't see how people don't see the value in it as a consumer. And I also don't understand.
They do see the value. Everybody sees the value in it. It's just
there are some
arguments
ignorants
are trying,
out there that are still thinking
the
that
Collins
there's
of
not.
the world who are purposely,
Yes.
just making a mockery of themselves with
And
that
then
stuff.
on top of it, how can you not think, like we think of Netflix back then, right? And how they went ahead and it's like, oh my gosh, they're mailing you your movies for this much. Like, there's no way they can do that. Look at Blockbuster, like in the way that they're doing things. Guess what? They took down Blockbuster. And look at where they are now from where they started. And I feel like, this is just the beginning of Game Pass and where it's going to go.
Well, that's the argument, right? That's the fear,
Yes.
right? That's what they're trying to go to the judge at. Like, this is just now. What if at some point it's only Game Pass because everything is in there and the only way you can play a game is because it's through Game Pass, right? It's not logical right now, but we don't know, right?
Mhm.
So obviously, Jacob brought up a good point. The funny thing with all of this, and you would think they know because they set these agreements up.
Yes.
Call of Duty Cold War is going into PlayStation Plus this month.
Ooh.
Now this is the
No,
old. This is the
wait,
old
seriously?
one. Yeah, it's old.
Like
it's the old
2020,
Call of
I'm
Duty,
pretty sure.
but
Yeah,
it
but
it's
is
still going
into
in there.
Yeah, it's going into
And
PS
guys,
Plus this month.
This is why they do this, right? They put in older games. They don't want to put in the new stuff because they want you to go out there and buy it. So they're not in the situation that Microsoft is in right now, where they are like, okay, we'll cut a little loss, but the outcome is going to be that much greater.
What is the thing? Microsoft,
Sony
there is no
doesn't
such thing
want
as
to
a
do that.
loss for Microsoft financially.
Well, because they have a nice chunk
They're
of
a
money.
$1 trillion company.
Multiple trillions at this
Yes.
point.
So that's a risk that Sony right now doesn't want to take. And again, we can see why, because of the amount of games they had their showcase, right? And what did they show us that they were making?
Multiplayer games.
Oh yeah, a bunch of live
All their
service slash
multiplayers.
multiplayer games.
They're games of services.
So, but aside from like Spider-Man, their big dog, they're not going to put that into a streaming service.
Well,
so
Right? They want people to go buy it.
Fonto makes a great point, which basically sums up what you're talking about. At the end of the day, the ABK deal is pro-consumer.
Yes.
I think the judge saw that throughout the hearing. The FTC just looked foolish. Yes, they did.
100%.
The F
Sony
stands for foolish.
needs to improve PlayStation Plus to compete. Enough said. Yes.
Very true.
100%,
baby.
dude.
Yes.
100%. That wraps it
Agreed.
up perfectly because that's exactly what needs to take place.
Yes.
That's my listen, we have PlayStation Plus Premium. We subscribe to that shit.
Mhm.
Right? Like they should be giving us that, right? Like it's just stupid that we don't get it.
Agree.
So yes. Now moving on from that one, this is the juicy one. So
Do tell.
this is early days when they first announced that they were going to do this deal.
Like January
Jim-
last year, right?
Of 2022, yeah.
Yeah. Last
So over the course of 2022, Jim and Phil shared emails.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So
Yes.
we do not have the initial email that Phil sent.
Okay.
But we have Jim's response and then Phil's response to that.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go.
So get
I'm
ready. This is a
Let's go.
lengthy email from Jim
Okay.
Ryan, but I feel like
We need to hear it.
we need to
Yes.
hear it. You
Okay.
guys need to hear the audacity
My ears are ready to
that
bleed.
Jimmy Boy
I know.
that Jimmy Boy thinks he's going to be putting out there with
Let's
this.
go.
Who does this man
Okay.
think he is?
Now, I got to make this a little bigger so I can see better. Okay. So, this is to Phil Spencer from
Okay.
Jim. Thank you for your email. We agree that ensuring Activision Blizzard games are available on PlayStation is the right thing to do for gamers and the industry. However, Microsoft's original proposal did not fulfill this objective and left us serious concerns that our counter proposal is designed to address. Far from being unusual, our counter proposal represents the minimum needed to respect gamers' interests and maintain competition. We believe there are two fundamental principles that are critical to mitigating the potential negative impact to gamers from the Activision acquisition. The first principle is that the commitment to availability of Call of Duty and other Activision games on PlayStation must be sufficiently broad to fully align with gamer expectations. To do the right thing for gamers, it is not enough to represent that a particular selection of older titles will remain on PlayStation. Rather, it is essential to agree that all Activision titles will be made available on PlayStation irrespective of their original release dates or whether they can be classified as part of a particular franchise, just as they have been historically.
Oh my god.
And this commitment needs to be a lengthy one, not just a few years after the acquisition. That was page one.
Oh my
right
god.
now,
How many
the
pages are there?
second principle is that not just this last one. The second principle is that in addition to addressing the scope of the content available on PlayStation, the parties' agreement must address the manner in which the games will be made available.
Must.
If Activision games are made available only on terms that are disadvantageous for PlayStation in comparison with other platforms, this could be tantamount to not making them available on PlayStation at all. As one example, making Activision games available on PlayStation after those games have been made available on Xbox would be contrary to the spirit of Microsoft's commitment to keep Activision games on PlayStation, as well as being unsatisfactory for gamers. With these principles in mind, let me briefly address the contours of our counter proposal.
Oh.
The first term
Oh my
of
gosh.
our proposal is designed to advance the first principle stated above, i.e., satisfying gamer expectations by ensuring that all Activision games are available on PlayStation. Please note that the reference to price parity relates specifically to the wholesale price on which PlayStation is offered Activision titles for resale on the PS Store. The second term of our proposal is designed to advance the second principle described above. Unequal treatment of Activision games in subscription services would lead to unequal availability of the games. As long as you agree to the fundamental principle, Activision games should not receive unequal treatment on the party subscription services. We are open to further discussing the details of how this might be accomplished. The third term of our proposal simply recognizes the reality that upon completion of the acquisition of Activision, it would not seem to make logical sense for the financial, marketing, and other arrangements previously negotiated between SIE and Activision to continue to apply in the post-acquisition world. We believe this common sense step is to the benefit of both Microsoft and SIE. Regarding Bethesda.
Oh my God.
He's still going? What the hell?
I was making a more general point during our discussion that the equal treatment of Bethesda games would be a logical subject for the parties to discuss because it involves some of the same concerns as the availability and or unequal treatment of Activision games. We would welcome discussing this subject as part of an agreement that advances the two fundamental principles discussed above.
Oh my God.
We would appreciate your confirming that these terms are acceptable as a framework for the parties to negotiate an appropriate written agreement. If you can confirm this, I will instruct my team to get started immediately on preparing an agreement that can be finalized following the negotiations with your team. Please let me know if you have any further questions. Regards, Jim.
I know he was the leading man for PlayStation, but I know he did stand-up as well.
Seriously.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. All right, so before we dig into Phil, let's talk about this.
Listen, why the hell is he talking as if he has the upper hand?
He thinks he does.
Well, he believes he does.
And it's an illusion.
He does.
An illusion.
Because his Sony platform is the biggest platform.
Gosh.
And he knows, or he's letting them know that they are the thing that's going to stop this deal from moving forward.
These
if you
are
don't
the
play
rules.
ball with us, we're going to go make a big deal about this. And that's what they're saying. So one thing right off the rip, towards the end, Homeboy wants to bring Bethesda games into this deal.
Into this deal. This is ridiculous.
Please bring Starfield to PlayStation 5.
I don't know what drugs that Jimmy Boy has been taking.
I don't know. He's been on some serious, he's been on the finest, most realest drugs ever taken.
Wait, that's why Sony's been putting out dog shit for the console, because they've been too busy smoking.
Apparently, they're on some other crap.
Yeah,
Listen,
this is wild.
First of all,
to me.
you see right off the beginning, like from the beginning, what Phil did say to him was that we need to keep, Call of Duty on every platform, right? That's what was sent on the first email because of what he said up until however, all right? And this is where it all kicks in, the load of crap that he's trying to feed Phil Spencer.
So what he's trying to do is get Xbox to commit that every single Activision game that is made will be for PlayStation.
How about no?
That doesn't make any. They're spending $70 billion.
Exactly.
What crack are you smoking to believe
the good shit? Apparently,
that they're going to say, "Sure, we're spending the money, and we're going to keep putting the games out there."
We're spending the money. And we're going to go and see what your terms are, because those are the ones we're going to follow. Like, what kind of business people do you think you're dealing with? Like, this is crazy.
These guys aren't stupid.
Fanto, exactly. It's a flex.
Yeah. They're trying to flex.
Oh, my God. But
it's
the
so stupidest flex in the world, bro. It's the stupidest flex in the world. Because you understand, like, who you're flexing to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand in the gaming world, Xbox is small, right? But don't act like they need your money to survive, right? Like
100%.
Xbox, maybe as an entity, Microsoft is looking at like, yo, you need to make that money for sure. Of course, it's a business, but like you're going to flex against Microsoft?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're spending what your company is worth, bro.
As a whole, not just
And that's like
video
pocket
games.
change. That's
Yes.
pocket change.
In cash, bro.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Jacob wrote in the chat, Jim and Sony said to Cade in Brazil when Xbox acquired Bethesda, this was brought up when Cade talked to Sony, that we have exclusives like The Last of Us and God of War, so Xbox can buy Bethesda. Okay? They know. Again, we know Jim has put it out there. We're actually going to, we'll talk about it because Jim had a few things to say. But guys, like, this makes no sense that they think that they're going to go. He wants everything. He wants every game. He wants it at the same exact time. He wants it in what it sounds like in his subscription service too. Like for nothing. Like this is just to let the deal happen.
Just to let it happen as if Microsoft is not spending that money. And then it goes from like, you know, talking business to just
Talking
ridiculous.
nonsense.
Yeah. Like how do you entertain that? Like, how do you, like, what did Philly say?
All right. Well, let's get his answer.
Because,
his answer is actually pretty short and sweet.
As it should be. Like, get out of here with your nonsense, bro.
All right. So, our boy Phil.
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, it took months to get this response back. So,
because he had to calm down.
Phil, yeah,
dude, you
I think
send me something like that, I'm gonna rage.
Look at
I'm
what
gonna flip
Fanto said.
tables.
Phil
Go ahead.
wrote this.
Real quick.
Go
What
ahead.
did Fanto say?
That in that logic, Phil could also just ask for God of War, The Last of Us, and Marvel Spider-Man on Xbox.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Pretty
Yes.
please.
Absolutely. Can you imagine that email back?
Yeah.
Like Phil's like, deal. All we need from you is
God
God of War, The Last of Us, Spider-Man,
Yes,
and Horizon.
Fanto, that's right.
Let's do it. Days Gone, everything. You bring your stuff, we'll bring our stuff. Let's
Yep.
party.
Let's
Obviously,
party.
that Xbox would love that.
Right?
Xbox would do that in a heartbeat.
In a
all reality.
heartbeat, for sure. But what would
obviously-
Jimmy say about
But
that?
obviously, he would be like, no, we can't do that.
Exactly.
We're a company. How we're going to run? All right. So our boy Phil.
Let's go.
So now, again, it was Jim wrote that in May 26. So on May 26, 2022, he sent that email. So this is a
Okay.
few months after the announcement, right? So you could assume Jim,
It's a
Phil
funny joke.
sent the email right away, right?
Yes.
And it took Jim a few months to get back to him, right?
process and then
now in
Yeah.
August 26, so
that's
literally
a
the
long
same day.
time.
So May, June, July, 3 months later, okay? 3 months later, he went ahead and wrote back. Okay, Jim, thanks for your response.
The end.
As I stated to you, in my email. So this is the way I'm going to read it. As I stated to you,
Yeah.
in my emails
There we go.
and on our calls, Sony is an important distributor of Activision content, and we would like to find a way to maintain that relationship once we've closed the Activision acquisition. I continue to stand behind the written agreement I sent you on January 31st, 2022, with my signature memorializing our commitment to Sony. The agreement will keep all existing Activision console titles on Sony, including future versions in the Call of Duty franchise, or, this is a big one, any other current Activision franchise on Sony.
That's a big deal.
That's pretty nice.
That's actually a really big deal.
That's very nice, actually.
Through December 31st, 2027. Okay.
Yeah.
So this was before the 10-year
The
deal.
10-year deal.
Okay.
Yes.
This is the 3-year deal that they offer. Right.
Yes, but they were also offering much more than Call of Duty, like anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
As
So
well.
that includes content and feature parity, as well as making it clear that we would not feature any timed exclusive releases of such content on Xbox consoles. It is hard to align the principles set out in your email of May 26, 2022 with Sony's leading role in the market.
Exactly.
As I said before, we believe that keeping these titles on Sony as we did with Minecraft, is the right thing for the industry and for gamers. Phil.
Holy cow.
Okay, listen.
Wow.
So Phil was actually pretty cool about
He was
this,
so
right?
nice because he was like, because you guys are leading, like I would have been like, yo, get your bitch ass out of here with this shit. Done.
No, for
that
real,
would have been my
for real,
response.
for real.
Yo, bitch
Over.
ass up.
That's
Jimmy
it.
ass,
Yes.
bitch ass.
Exactly. That would have been
Oh my
it.
God.
All right. But Philly, being who he is, my Philly steakhouse out here doing nice things and communicating and saying that, you know, we can't do that because of your position rather than what I said was freaking really nice of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it took him 3 months to calm down, but, you know, he got there
Yeah,
with the context that needed to be sent out.
he did. He did.
But, I mean, you got to be crazy to think that in any way we will take, like, this email that Jimmy sent out would be taken seriously.
Well, that's the thing,
By
right? Like,
anybody, even if you were leading. Like, could you imagine? Like, hey, guys, you can't buy that. And if you do, these are my terms. And I think it goes back to Jimmy Jim being such a snake and like making all these deals, trying to keep Xbox from getting the games, getting exclusives, having holdups where, you know, we get it 6 months prior or we get a certain skin.
or never,
Or
like Final
never.
Fantasy VII Remake.
So
Of
when
course.
you're out there making sneaky moves like these, you obviously feel like everybody else is just like you. And that Call of Duty will potentially be taken away, or that they're going to make a worse version of Call of Duty for their system. And everything else comes to mind. And it's like, oh my gosh, with power,
Comes great responsibility.
they're going to do the same shit that I do with power. And that's not going to be pretty.
Karma is a bitch after all.
It is. And I think that's what he's
Absolutely.
afraid of, what's going to come back to him.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Excuse me. Jacob made a good point, which was funny. So remember, Jim wasn't at the trial,
No.
right? He sent the video.
He
Okay.
did.
So Jacob put out here, the best part is that Jim flew to Japan to meet Kojima when the FTC versus MS case was pending, even if PlayStation headquarters is 32 minutes from the place where the case was. They were the closest, by the way, of any other person, any other company. They were the closest to the place that the actual trial was taking place at.
But Jimmy couldn't make
But
it.
Jim couldn't drive 32 minutes away. He flew like 50 hours the other
That's right,
direction.
Jacob.
Sorry, I had to tie my shoe.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I can't make
absolutely.
it, but he has the time to set up the video, send it in, and all the other stuff. He just didn't want to look a fool.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
listen, nobody wants
I mean,
to.
he looked a fool anyway, to
He
be clear.
did.
To be clear.
And nobody wants to look stupid. But it does. Like when you think of everything he did to try to make it stop from getting to where it is now, and then he gets away with just not showing up. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
And it shows you how shady he is, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
knew
shadiest.
everything that was
Yeah, bro,
coming
he
out,
is-
and that's
he
why
gives-
he doesn't want to be
He
there.
gives Eminem a run for his money. All right.
Wow, yeah.
He's the real Slim
He's the
Shady,
real Slim
guys.
Shady.
Yeah, he
He's
just
definitely the real Slim Shady.
he went from fool to jester in like a snap of a finger.
Yeah, it's
he's-
crazy.
He's something else.
Fonzo said the fact that it took 3 months to respond says volumes. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
He's the
100%.
Amber Head of gaming.
Oh
Her.
shit! Yeah, the core.
What happened?
I admit it. I was bullshitting all along. You caught me.
The court hearing has made me believe that Jim Ryan is the Amber Heard of gaming.
Damn. Damn.
Somewhere right now, Amber Heard was like,
It's
"What the
like,
fuck?
what the
Damn! Oh my
I
god,
felt that.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Seriously,
But
though.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, honestly, it's comical that that's the way that Jimmy Boy thought it was going to go down, right? And then just like a couple of other small exchanges. I mean, he said a lot, but he did go ahead and confirm to us. Remember Lulu's tweet
Yes.
that he said that in the back room, Jim said to us that he doesn't want to make a new deal.
No, he wants to
block
stop.
the merger. And that's exactly what he said on, the trial. He
Wait,
said that
like
he told Bobby Kotick that I thought the transaction was anti-competitive and I hope the regulators would do their job and block it.
So what he's trying to do is like do damage control. Like we know how this came out and how it was like potentially said, right?
Yep.
She gave us the juice. We drank it. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So Jimmy's out here trying to say now that this is why, but this was shady, right? Why were you telling us that the reason was because you wanted a deal because they were going to take it away from PlayStation? Right?
Well,
why are you telling us this?
So this is the
If
thing.
that's not what you're thinking.
Exactly.
So I think his opinion changed and he did bring it up. He said that
Okay.
the email that Phil Spencer wrote back is what really changed their view on it, because they realized that Xbox wasn't just going to be like, sure, daddy, take it all. Right. So
They figured we're not going to run shit. So let's make it stop.
So now that's when they kind of ramped up, and they would, need to get more involved. Fantil said what he meant was he hoped the regulators would do this job for him and block it.
Yes.
Dang.
100%.
Facts.
Yes.
Right. But
he thought he had puppets out there running his shit. Do it.
He thought it was a
which
puppeteer.
obviously he did
Mhm.
ultimately do that
For
because
quite a
he
while.
did have the puppets in the FTC, because as we saw with the email that he did go ahead and
Yeah.
tell them that I have no worries about this. And FTC's
Literally,
like,
and they're
okay,
still
we'll fight it for you.
fighting. Yeah,
We'll
that's
fight it for you.
crazy. Like, how much power does he have, or what does he have on these people, or what is he giving them that they're out here, like an army for him, like just fighting tooth and nail?
He promised a lollipop for everyone.
You get a lollipop at the end.
He did something.
He did something, dude.
But yeah. So, but he did confirm it. He did, like we said, we knew he was a shady boy.
Yeah,
And
he's been naughty.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he
Naughty
said.
dog.
And Lulu came out, told us the truth, and it seems like one side is truthful, one side is not, and we know which side is not. And then obviously we saw this showcase that we put on, and it showed so many of the first party games as a service games that they're making, because they're trying to get a multiplayer. And he is basically trying to say that one of the reasons why we are investing massively in first-party development and publishing is to provide us with an edge against pressure on a historic business model. Having a business model where you can own elements from top to the bottom increases your ability to be self-determinant. And that was in regards to Game Pass.
Yes.
So the old business model, the historic business model, is you make a game, you put it out for sale, and somebody comes and buys it, and you make your money. The new way is this subscription services and, pushing that agenda forward.
Yes.
And he's trying to prepare by making it where he's not reliant on subscription service game sales. He wants to make his own, like Fortnite. He wants to make his own games that those games can keep making money while he keeps selling the first party games.
Yes.
Right. He doesn't want to put anything into into PlayStation Plus. Right. So that's obviously his agenda with that, but that's why they're building it. That's why they're spending all this money making all these, games as a service. Now there was a little funny kind of back and forth between the lawyer, Microsoft's lawyer, and Jim Ryan.
Okay.
That Tom Warren put out there, and I thought it was a little funny, so I wanted to say it. But
Go ahead.
The Microsoft lawyer, do you think it would be better if Microsoft kept Activision games on PlayStation? Ryan says, yes, I do. Microsoft says, so do you do believe it's in Microsoft's best interest to make Activision games available on multiple platforms? Ryan says, no, I don't agree with that.
Ryan?
Yeah. So Microsoft says, so if you were running Xbox, would you recommend, no, I'm sorry. So he says it double here. If you were running Xbox, you would recommend making Call of Duty and other Activision games exclusive to Xbox and PC? Ryan says, that's a hypothetical question that I don't wish to answer.
Oh my
Microsoft
God.
lawyer says, you don't get to not answer. Ryan says, I don't have enough knowledge to answer that question.
Wow.
So what he's saying is, yes, that is exactly what they should do.
Yeah, he knows exactly what he would do if he had
and
this.
that's the thing, and that's exactly what I said. He's a freaking snake. He's a businessman. He knows what he needs to do to crush someone else's business, and that's what he's been tactically doing for so long. And obviously, we see that he's a man of power. He's been doing a lot, and he's been getting away with a lot. So if he's framing it, if he's thinking of what would I do, and seeing that Philly is gaining this power, straight up fear to your soul. You will do anything you can to stop this from happening if you think that everybody's as shady as you are. And that's the truth.
That's very true.
Agreed 100%.
I don't blame him for it. The panic of like knowing everything that he's done potentially to get to where he is right now, or to go ahead and have those exclusives and bend the rules or get his way, or to go ahead and just increase PlayStation, the brand, right?
Right, absolutely.
So I get the tantrum and the bullcrap that he's doing, but you got to know when to fold. And
Agreed,
I feel
100%.
like he let it go too far. And he's like messed up the whole name. His name, PlayStation, like his studios, like
I think
it wasn't
I think
worth
he
that.
messed it up for like the hardcore gamers, like the people who are following this and who are into it.
That is true.
But like casual gamers don't even think twice about this.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation fanboys who like are obsessed, Jim Ryan can't do no wrong. So for them, they're like, yeah, go ahead. Do it. I mean, I've seen a lot of PlayStation heads kind of question what's going on, but like the diehard of the most diehard.
They wouldn't dare.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They think everything that's happening. They're the ones who are saying that Xbox is done. The Xbox lost this shit, which is crazy. So Jacob had put in the chat here.
Yes.
I feel like the last Xbox CEO, former EA CEO, Don Matrick, even if he screwed up big time, is made everything roll, because would Phil ever think about going this way if Don never had screwed up? You think about it, Don is the reason that all of this is happening, because Phil had to figure out a way to save Xbox.
Yes.
He had to come up with the plan. So if Don didn't mess everything up, that's a whole new timeline.
A new timeline.
That's a whole new timeline. That's a whole different world. I can't even imagine. But if he didn't mess up the way he did, and to be clear, I mean, if in retrospect, if we step back and look at what he was doing, he was just ahead of his time. So as much as we give shit to Don Matrick for everything that happened, if we would have not had that happen, fast forward 5 years or so, and then have Don show us the new Xbox dream, it would have been a whole different ballgame.
I agree,
because
100%.
everything that he was doing, we do now. It's all digital most of the time, so there would have been no worries.
We had to be spoon fed the steps, like, you know what I mean? Like, because we kept saying, us in conversation, like the problem is not what Xbox is doing, is that they're ahead and people are not willing to go ahead and make that turn yet.
Yeah,
because
if the Xbox, remember, the Xbox was quote unquote less powerful than the PlayStation 4, but the plan was the power was going to be added to by the cloud.
Yes.
That's why the Xbox will be always online. So game developers knew no matter what, the game was online, so you can use the cloud to add more power and do the physics or do the AI or do any of that extra stuff.
I remember hearing that. I thought that was so dope. Like, they were trying to transition us into, the digital world, right? Yep. Which is exactly where we're heading to. If you want a collector's edition and it's out, buy that as well, but go ahead and and they had that share with like 5 friends or something like that.
Oh my God, the family plan.
I thought that was, that was amazing,
we
dude.
would have used that shit so hard, bro.
I was so pumped, and then just deleted because everybody was up in arms about it.
Yep.
And it's like, it was just ahead of its time. People weren't ready for it, but I was, I was all for it when it was there.
The movie stuff, the show stuff. Nobody's pissed about The Last of Us on TV now, right? Like Halo got a TV show now. Everybody is looking at this stuff. Show. They're making more shows. Witcher.
Movies.
Whoa. What happened there? Witcher's amazing.
It is.
Right? So who's to say that this wouldn't have shaked out the right way if nobody bitched and moaned? But you gotta remember, Xbox was in a bad place, right? They just came off the power of winning, essentially, quote unquote, winning the Xbox 360 generation, right?
Yeah.
They didn't win because PlayStation, got
Caught up.
eventually. But once all that negativity was coming,
Yeah.
like Xbox, like the team that like Satya wasn't there
to back
them up at that point, right? So it's a whole different situation where they were like on barely, like they're walking on eggshells.
Well, listen, at that point, it's like, oh my gosh, like we're shaking the foundation, right? So, guys, the foundation is shaking. Let's regroup. Let's give them what they want. We need to settle this out. And that's literally what they did.
Exactly.
They gave into everything.
I really wish there was a way. I mean, it's impossible, obviously, but what would that timeline have played out as?
Right?
Like, who knows, man? Who knows? We could have been in a whole different place.
And it's like right now, right? Like Game Pass didn't just pop off right away, but like it's picking up, right? So these are the situations. And I've said it before. Like, I feel like Xbox, they have this way of like, just taking crap from, like, obviously you have to listen, but not the way that they do. They really bend, like, to go ahead and listen and give you what you want, right? So I felt like they needed to grow a backbone, and I feel like they're finally at a place where I can look at them and be like, all right, respect. You're out here, you're standing your ground, you're fighting for what you want,
doing what they need to do.
And you're doing your thing, regardless of how people are taking it.
So this is the thing. This is the thing. You got to remember, Xbox at that time did not have 100% backing by Satya, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft wasn't 100% behind Xbox, like they are now. And now what you're seeing is what happens when you're not the feeble Xbox who's like just scraping by and trying to get what they can.
And again,
and you
it
have
goes back
Microsoft
to that
saying,
money
go spend
point,
the money
right?
to make it happen.
Money. Yes, and that's why money's important. And that's why you can make the moves that you want to make, and you can do them confidently when you have the money to do so.
Money makes the world go around,
Yes,
if you're barely, Xbox sees that.
Yes, and if you're barely buying something and you can't afford the rest, you got to figure out your budget. Look at PlayStation making cuts, right?
Absolutely.
That's just what it is.
Agreed.
So going back to the games and services that Sony was making, Fansol did put in the chat, Sony's game and service is a big gamble. Literal hit or miss mentality.
Yeah.
Game Pass is a good way of ensuring there is something for every consumer to play, regardless of their gaming preferences.
Yes.
And that's 100% true. That's why they're making so many.
Thank you for saying that.
Right?
It's true.
When you watch this showcase that's on right now, and you see the games that they're working on, games and services wise, they're very similar. Like all the games that they're making are very similar.
Very narrow-minded. They want to go with what they know will bring them money back,
or they think, but they're just figuring if there's different takes on it, one of them should hit at least, right? That's the way they're thinking.
Have you noticed that Sony, back in like the PS1 through 2, like maybe even a little bit 3, they used to have a whole bunch of exclusives. Anything could be like a PlayStation exclusive. Now it's basically third-person narrative that's really damn sad. Every time, every single time. Well, because
they want to make sure that what normally sells for them is bringing in that money. And I've always said that Xbox is very like inclusive and diverse, and they want to make everything for everybody, not just one thing for whoever wants to come in and bend and play. So I love that they are what the world is, diverse, right? And they're inclusive. They're including everybody, and everybody can find something, again, in Game Pass.
This is the thing. To be fair, right? PlayStation, they have made like unique little games here and there, right? Like they, it's not that they haven't. Well, that was before, but like now, even now, they make Concrete Genie, but they're gone now. Like the thing is, they tried on these little ones, and it's just the PlayStation people who play the hardcore PlayStation gamers don't want those games.
Yes, they want the guaranteed money back.
They only want the big, the hardcore gamers for PlayStation, the ones that are fanboys. They want only the biggest games, right? They want only the most graphically impressive games and all that fun stuff. And trust me, I'm in that boat. I want that.
The only survivor, I guess, that you could say still a pinnacle, but that isn't like a third-person narrative is probably Ratchet and Clank. That's like the only one.
Yeah,
but even that.
What's the little robot game that I like?
That did get that's a Game of the Year nominee. Astrobot. That's like a mascot.
That's so good. It's so cute.
So that they have still going. We think.
Even that he never got a proper game, a VR game, and like a PlayStation 5 bundled.
Well,
little
they're
experience.
supposedly making one, I thought. So we'll see. But the point is that they have they're trying to cater to their fans.
Yes.
And this is just what it is. Their fans, they're hardcore fans, the ones who make the most noise on social media. They want those tentpole games.
They want them happy.
Those tentpole games are expensive to make, right?
Yeah.
And we know that PlayStation doesn't have the money,
Yeah.
right? They're not, they're rich, but they're not Microsoft rich, right?
Yeah. And let's
So
make
they have to
something
balance it
clear.
out.
Those games that they do make are stunning.
Yeah, and we're
Wow.
actually going
They
to talk about a
are
few because it leaked
beautiful.
how much some of these games cost.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna dive into that. But as far as them, they're right now. I feel like they've done little things, like they made the launch game, the car destruction derby game or whatever.
Yeah.
it
The
is.
Destruction All Stars.
Yeah, like they thought that one might hit, and I think what they
No.
realize is when they take one title to say, all right, this title
It's
we're going
you.
to put out and let's take the chance on it, and it doesn't work, it's like, well, it's dead.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I feel like they're out here making like 10, they said they want like 10 or 12 or 15 games that are in the game as a service field, because they're hoping that one or two of them hits.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, I
Yeah,
mean, it's a good
sometimes-
idea, right? Because not every game's going to be for everyone. So if one of them does pop off, like an Xbox who has Sea of Thieves that pop.
Mhm.
I mean, Xbox is low key really good at this shit.
Yeah.
And people keep giving them trash. Like the game doesn't have to come out perfect for Xbox.
Well,
to
that's
make
what
a
I was
thing
trying to
about
get
it.
to. That's the thing with Xbox. They continue to work. They continue to make it better. And whatever glitches or whatever problems you have with it, they hear you. They go ahead and fix it. PlayStation wants to see their money right back. And this
Like
kind of goes,
immediately.
yes, and this kind
Yep,
of goes
'cause they
back to
need
the
to.
fact that they need it.
They
They
need
need it for the next game. They're
Yep.
not they're a big company. They're not a really big company. They need that money to come back in so that they can rotate it again. What were we talking about that they used for the exclusives? They were putting money aside, and Xbox was essentially funding their exclusives.
Oh no, it's just the games that they
Deathloop
sell
and
for
Tokyo-
Xbox
Tokyo-
games.
Yeah.
So they sell
Tokyo-
Xbox games. So Xbox is funding them buying exclusives
Yes,
because
but
they keep that 30%.
It's all a budget. It's not like here's our money, let's go make whatever we want and let's spend it. And if it does well,
that's why they
we keep
crying
pushing
about
and fixing.
by Call of Duty, because they saying that they use the money they make from Call of Duty to fund all of their first person games.
Yeah, it's going to be
the
a big
dollars,
hit for
we
them.
do know what they are.
I think
So,
when
go
it comes,
ahead.
like Sony, where they F up, is that like they want Destruction All Stars to be a seller. Like you are in charge of selling our PS5, and when it doesn't do that, it's like you're a real piece of shit, aren't you?
Well, they were free to play
Nintendo
too, and it
does-
didn't work.
Yeah, like
Um,
Nintendo did something similar.
So,
Like-
no, go ahead.
Nintendo does the same thing. Like, remember Luigi's Mansion, stuff like that? When
Yeah.
the first one came out, it was the game to sell the GameCube. It was a launch title. People actually didn't like Luigi's Mansion in the beginning because it's not that big Mario or Zelda that always debuts. People thought it was shit. Now, because Nintendo gives so much love to it and did not make it a launch title, it's one of their most beloved franchises.
Luigi's
Yeah.
Mansion is a shit
So yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
You say it all the time, C Money. You can't beat Nintendo and come out here with anything other than Mario, right? Like
Or
that's
Zelda.
your
That's
big,
their thing. That's what's sad, but that's the reality.
Yep.
If you give us Mario, then you can give us something else. But you
Yes.
can't do it the other way around.
No.
You can't launch with something that's not Mario or Zelda or something huge like that,
Mhm.
right? But real quick,
Yes.
Jacob did put in here that he didn't know about the cloud graphics thing. Yeah, that was actually a huge thing. That was a big part of what they were doing. That's why if you go in Google, like look up on YouTube the old Crackdown 3 tech demo that they put together,
Yeah.
that was way different than what we actually ultimately got. Which was leagues different, right? Like it was way, way, way better. And that's what they were working on across the board for all the games. They were going to use the tech to do, the stuff that doesn't require you the quick input, right? So if a bomb blows up, miles away and you see the beautiful fire and smoke and all that stuff, they could calculate that real time over the cloud, right? AI, Titanfall 1 had so much AI stuff in there.
Yeah.
That was the future, right? That's what they were trying to do, offload, the game from running it locally and having it through the cloud, having the AI and different things, physics and all that stuff run through there. So that was
Wasn't
going to be a
Crackdown
huge,
3
thing.
like super hyped up and then the game ended up being
Well, no,
ass?
it's not. It wasn't super hyped up because it took so long to come out that it
No one
it
gave a
just
shit
kind
about
of
it.
stumbled across the finish line. But I actually really enjoyed it. If you like Crackdown, you'll like Crackdown 3. Jacob also put in there, I grew up with a PlayStation 1 as my first console. Then I continued, so I love PlayStation, but I feel like Jim Ryan is slowly destroying the brand.
Agreed.
What he's doing is he's destroying the community feel of it, right?
Yes.
Like the brand itself, he's making better than ever as far as dollars are concerned, right? He's making PlayStation way more money than they've ever made, right? But it's the brand loyalty from the people who are not like so crazy, right?
The hardcore,
the
yeah.
hardcore of the hardcore who would,
like die for a
who would
PlayStation.
literally say, yes, PlayStation raised the price by $10. I'm so happy they did that. It's like, no, right? Like on Xbox, they give them shit when they do things. PlayStation, they're like, yes, savior. Thank you so much. I didn't know I needed to
They're
spend
very
more.
blinded.
So thankful for it.
And Jacob, me as well. I went from the Super Nintendo. I was always with Nintendo, and then I went ahead for the PlayStation.
That PlayStation looked mighty fine, now didn't
and,
it?
you know, like I wasn't into Xbox like that, but I respect who they are and what they do and how they see the consumers.
It was a controller,
right?
wasn't
It was
it?
a controller, yes. Because I
hated
couldn't
the
like
controller.
No,
hated
the PlayStation.
PlayStation controller, yeah, that was
I
I
trash.
know.
couldn't
Xbox.
hold the freaking Xbox controller so freaking big.
That was look at these hands. That Duke was beautiful.
The thing about the PlayStation
Duke
is
was
that
beautiful.
I needed the PlayStation controller.
the thing about PlayStation is that it was made to look good, not feel good.
Yeah.
Listen, I went from Nintendo to Xbox. That's
Wait,
it.
didn't you have a PS2?
I went from Nintendo to PlayStation.
I got a PS2, but it was after.
You and me
I was
both,
like,
Jacob.
Like I wasn't like a PlayStation guy. I just bought it later on because of the
Like,
fact that it was the new
a
games
DVD
that were
player.
out.
Oh, yeah.
But as soon as Xbox came, I was a fan of Nintendo. I bought the PlayStation because I needed it at that time because there was new games coming out.
Just one.
Yeah.
And then I jumped into Xbox and never looked back. I mean, we play everything.
Okay.
We play
Chill.
everything, but Xbox is my jam. But
I played a game here and there with the freaking monster of a controller, and I never I was like, I can't do this. And then, C Money, you're the one who really push Xbox.
down people's
yeah.
throats? Yeah,
Well,
I get
yeah,
it.
for me.
Nobody pushed Xbox down people's throats.
Like you had
All
the
right?
Xbox around, and that's when I was really around Xbox. You know
We
what I
always
mean?
had everything around.
You guys did go to the
It's just
midnight
that
release for Xbox
Xbox was
360.
better, and
Yeah.
that's just it. All right, so let's move forward a little bit. Another Jimmy Jim.
Another Jimmy Jim moment.
Nothing big, but it, again, kind of serves as an understanding of, if Xbox took Call of Duty exclusive or any other game exclusive from Activision's line,
Yeah.
that Jim understands and he doesn't find it a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually went ahead and he testified because they were asking him about it. He doesn't like the fact that Xbox's Starfield is exclusive, but it's not anti-competitive.
Of course it's not.
And we know this.
And yes, because he
But
got
it's
the
good that he
first
said
two
it.
games that they made exclusive, right? And he was going after Starfield.
Yeah.
And what did they do? As C Money said before Philly came out with this
They bought
information,
the building, baby.
he bought the building.
Yes.
And that's what you do.
Well, we
You know?
also found out that Call of Duty, the Activision was strong arming Xbox with Call of Duty, saying if you don't give us that 80-20 split,
Yeah.
you're not going to get it, right? So again, they bought the building, right?
bought the
That's what
building.
it is. This is the problem. PlayStation needs to understand they are making this happen to themselves. You
Yeah.
can't go up
This is
to a
self-inflicted.
Titan and
Yeah.
be like, I'm going to take the games that you want on your system. And he's just going to be like, okay, cool. Just do
But
you.
he did get away with that for a long time. And I think the last thing he thought was that they were going to have the backup from who?
Satya,
Exactly.
the G.
Yes. Purple Berry. Welcome, my love.
Yeah, we gotta put respect on that man's name,
Yeah.
Satya Nadella, okay? Because as much as we love Phil and the fact that he's putting in the work to make Xbox the best it can, and he fought for us,
Mm-hmm.
and he did everything he could to keep Xbox going. No matter how much you plead, the person you're pleading to is the one with that final decision.
Yes.
And the fact that at the end of the day, Satya stood up and said, I got your back, Phil.
Yeah.
Microsoft has the Xbox gamers back.
we can always say, yes, Philly, you know, it's easy for you. You've got this wallet and you're doing what you want with it, right?
Jacob brings up something interesting.
But think of the sales pitch, real quick, sorry. The sales pitch that he had to go ahead and persuade the situation because his wallet wasn't always open.
Yep.
What did he do? What moves did he make that were so right to make him get this involved?
Absolutely.
And to be able to talk him into going ahead and opening that wallet. You know, tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently Jacob said that when designing the logo for the Xbox system, the reason why it was green because one of the people who ended up having the winning design was ready to color in the logo he made, but all coworkers took his color pencils and left behind green.
No.
And he used green, and that went hand in hand.
That's a fun fact. I didn't know that, Jacob.
Yeah, he says, so an orange Xbox in another universe, right?
Right?
But yeah, no, they had a, Xbox did, I think for their 20th or 25th, I forget what it is. I think their 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
They released a documentary that kind of shows like the beginning times of Xbox. It was actually really good. And that was in there.
Of Xbox.
That was crazy how that's one thing. It's just because that's the color he had.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
That's why these lights are green in here. Just
Just
because of the color pencil he had on deck.
But listen, again, like this is the situation, right? What I want to see now is I never seen that documentary, but what I want is the juicy documentary on this, the Activision, everything that's happening. I want a full-blown documentary behind the scenes, like everything things that we don't know, that we haven't heard about yet. Like I will love, because as much as Jim Ryan is out here making a fool out of himself, he's been high quality entertainment 2023 for us.
Definitely high quality entertainment.
Yes. I want him like to get his own reality show, and Doodle will be watching Jimmy Jim, because you are a special one. And we never know what Jimmy's going to do. You know what I'm saying?
The Real House Husbands of PlayStation headquarters.
Yeah, right?
That would be dope. I'll watch.
So our boy Jimmy Jim did say something else that has gotten the internet up in arms when talking about this.
Yes, hell.
So he mentioned how Xbox is Game Pass is destructive to the industry.
Okay.
And he's spoken to all of the publishers, all the game publishers out there, and they all hate the Xbox.
Oh,
they all think, all hate the Xbox Game Pass. They all hate Game Pass.
Okay.
They think it's destructive. Right?
Oh.
So it's funny because that came out right now. Obviously, we know that's full of shit, because why would there be any games in Game Pass if that was the case, right? Why would every conference they do, it's like games coming to Game Pass, games coming to Game Pass, right? So obviously we know that the Game Pass is helpful. You know what? As I'm just looking right now, do me a favor. If you agree that Game Pass is amazing, hit that like button, okay? Because we need the like button to be hit. Share it. It goes out when people see the like button. It means that people liking what we're talking about. So help us out. Hit the like button. And if you're watching, not subscribed, please do so as well.
Tuck their like.
Yes, guys.
So that being said, right, we know that Game Pass is legit, right? It's the best thing that pretty much happened to gaming ever, right? So
I agree with that.
He puts out this testimony that everybody hates everything. So funny enough, right after, there was like this 11-bit Studios signs a deal to bring all of its games to Game Pass.
Okay? Oh, cool.
So this big studio
that
does like Frostpunk and things like that, they're bringing their games to Game Pass, signed it. Then you had a bunch of other companies come out and be like, I don't know about anybody else, but like, we love Game Pass. One of the places was Football Manager, the people who make that game.
Oh, I heard that game.
They came out and they said that I don't recognize that in our business. It's all very sunny for us, right?
See, but
and you
they
can extrapolate that to other people.
Yes, but this is the thing. He made in the word like everyone, right? Like you hear that and you're like, okay, well, who's Like you either buy it and you're like, oh, okay, everyone?
He was
really?
on that, he was
I
on
didn't
that
know.
Donald Trump shit right there.
Yes, he really was. Like everybody.
hates this. It's so bad.
Man, you
That was
guys.
funny.
But yeah, and you hear that and you're like, oh, wow. Well, I didn't know that, right? But like, they all have to come out and clean their name. Like, I wasn't the one. I wasn't in that Philly. You know what I mean? Like, I love the stuff you're giving us.
Yeah, seriously.
It had to happen, right?
Absolutely.
Because he's out there generalizing the situation. Maybe he's the one, right? Or maybe he spoke to a couple of people. We heard this dude wasn't happy. I forget the name, the game that he made in
Somerville.
Yes. He was out there kicking and screaming because his game wasn't that great and it didn't pick up. And he wanted people to go ahead and buy the game, give him the money, which now I look at him, I'm like, you're so shady. I wouldn't want to play any of your games anyways.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
It's really disgusting
It's
what he
ridiculous
said.
what he
And he
said.
should have sat down and taken a moment before he spoke out. You know? Talking about, I wish they had just given me their money and then you have your game. And if you didn't like it, then that's on you. Then to go ahead, put it on Game Pass. And then, you know, people are out there talking about how they don't like the game. So
Yeah,
no one else went and
absolutely.
picked it up. I mean, make a good game then. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Make a
Agreed.
good game.
And Jacob actually, I forgot about it. And it's funny because I put it as the first thing that was streaming here. So the
Thank
background.
you, Jacob.
Annapurna
because-
had their showcase. And yeah, all those games that were on that showcase, 95% of them are coming to Game Pass.
Yes.
Like, if it's bad, no one would do this. This is just facts. This is not
100%.
hard to understand.
Xbox isn't forcing
And
people to do
people
this.
are just like, it's so stupid when you hear somebody like Jim Ryan trying to take away
No
the
crap,
fact
Jim
that Game
Ryan
Pass
is
is
going to
amazing.
save
Like, what else is he
it.
going to
Like,
say?
what else? Yes,
Please
Game Pass
put all
the
your
best.
games in Game Pass. No,
Go buy an Xbox.
he doesn't want you to do that shit.
Sell your PlayStation.
When you hear somebody like Colin sitting there like a goddamn fool, and I think he's a really smart guy. That's why it's so weird to hear him talk.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he's like super smart in everything that he does until he talks about Xbox and his IQ drops tremendously.
Yeah.
Like, he just says the stupidest shit when it comes to Xbox. Bro, people love Game Pass. Game Pass works because people spend money every single month to subscribe to it.
Yes.
They're making billions of
100%.
dollars from this damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're up to over almost 29 million, almost 30 million people are giving them $15 or let's say $10 a month.
Yeah.
30 million people, $10 a month. That's 300 million a month. That's 3.6
Come on.
billion.
Are you kidding me?
You don't
the
think
fact
they
that
could
that has
make
to be
shit
broken
with that
down,
money? Come on,
it's
man.
crazy.
Come on. Let's stop being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know why I just lost my shit for that
Well,
moment.
you because
but-
it's idiotic to like have to explain it like this. Like, do the math yourself. You know what I mean?
Game Pass pays the bills.
Now, speaking of idiotic,
Yes.
We're talking about
we're
Jim
talking
Ryan.
about we're talking about the FTC,
Oh.
okay, and the fact that they
extension of
took
it.
well, it's a combination between the two
Yeah.
of them.
An
Between
extension
the
of Jim
FTC
Ryan.
and Sony, they sent over redacted information.
Okay.
Which means they sent over a document with things that are blacked out that you can't see to the public, but the court can see it,
Okay.
right? Well, these geniuses
Oh my
blacked it
God.
out using a Sharpie,
No.
a black Sharpie. And
What?
guess what? When they
Whoa.
scanned it,
Yes.
when they scanned it,
Yes.
you could still see
You
all
can
the
still see the
information.
letters.
Oh my god.
These idiots
Oh my God.
are out here trying to stop this
These
merger.
guys, these are the
like,
geniuses.
Who are we listening to?
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Dude, the power that
Yo.
is being given to
It's
these
crazy.
dumbasses
It's
is
crazy.
ridiculous.
You're gonna open
Yo,
the door. Who's the
listen.
boss? Is Patrick Star.
Jacob is slapping
Yes.
him up. Yeah, I know, right? For
Patrick
sure.
Star.
Jacob is slapping him up right now. He
Go
puts,
ahead,
imagine
Jacob.
after Sony marketing ends, which we will talk about in a second too, Game Pass will have Halo,
Oh my gosh.
Battlefield, and Call
Battlefield.
of Duty, plus other shooters all in the Game Pass.
Wait,
Yep.
Battlefield's on Game Pass?
Yeah, they have a deal
Oh,
with
EA
Play.
EA Player Access.
Remember, it's
whatever
part
it is.
of Game Pass. It's
This
not
is
like
gonna be
Ubisoft. Ubisoft is
crazy.
separate
Forgot.
that you can subscribe to. But
Fair
EA,
enough.
you subscribe to it, you got that fucking
Oh,
game in there. Come on, man. Xbox is the only place that
My
makes
drop,
sense.
Jacob. My
Yo,
drop.
Facts. Just the reality. Okay, so let's talk about the things we learned.
Let's go.
So we learned how much these games cost and how many people they had working on them.
Yes.
Right. Amongst other things, as far as Call of Duty and the realities of what that means to them and what they'll actually lose if Microsoft randomly decides to take Call of Duty away. So first thing, Horizon Forbidden West. Okay. That costs $212 million.
Holy crap.
Over 5 years and 300 employees.
Wow.
That's about the average Pixar movies cost. Interesting.
But they don't have Disney money.
Exactly.
And that's
Remember
why they need
That's
that
the
money
difference,
coming
right?
back.
Those are big budgets for a small fry like Sony,
Yeah.
right? Because remember, who's really in third place here?
Seriously.
Xbox.
Come on. No, it's Sony.
It's Sony.
As a
That
company.
money, baby.
Sony
that
as a
money.
company.
Financially, yeah.
Not the system. Xbox is third place with Xbox, but come on. Microsoft is number one. Okay. The Last of Us Part 2
Oh, I love that game.
cost them $220 million,
Ooh.
but only 200 employees.
The overworking.
So
bro.
they spent more money.
Yeah, with less employees.
Yeah, for less employees, which means they spent more overall because they were paying them more money.
They were payment
because they're higher quality people. You know what I'm saying?
That compare the games and you'll see, in my opinion. It's a big difference.
Yeah, and that was, I think that's 90 months, they said. Starting in 2014 and ending in 2020. So they took 6 years.
So they just started part 2 right after part 1, or at least very similar.
Of course. They always do. They're not, what do you think, PlayStation's not going to pay them to sit there.
No.
You know what I'm saying? They released the game. It's time to make the next one.
During their showcase, they only showed us Spider-Man, right? That's exclusive. And I'm like, don't sleep on Jimmy Ryan because he's got his cards covered. Like, there's no way they're not working on anything. We did a prediction on what could possibly be shown.
Our dream prediction for PlayStation when they
PlayStation on their showcase. We were talking about Naughty Dog and all of their studios. And we were really excited for their showcase. And all we saw was Spider-Man.
Which is going to be cool.
It's a problem. It's going to be a fun game, but not a, oh my God, look at this.
And again, it goes back to, like, I believe it was Jacob brought up the hardcore gamers, right? They go and they see a showcase like this and they're like, this is all you're bringing us, right? If you're not and you're just seeing the whole showcase and you don't care what's exclusive or not to PlayStation, to you, that was a great showcase. You know?
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there was more juicy tidbits from their SHARPIE mishap. And this is talking about Call of Duty.
SHARPIE.
So remember, their whole argument is that if they lose Call of Duty, people are going to switch and leave to Xbox.
Yes.
Which is going to hurt them. So this is what the factual information is. In 2021, over 14 million PlayStation users spent 30% or more of their time playing Call of Duty. Okay, 30%.
That's a lot.
Over 6 million users spent more than 70% of their time on Call of Duty. And about 1 million users spent 100% of their time on Call of Duty.
Dang.
So you figure they have what, 30, 40 something million, 41 million PlayStation 5s out there. I mean, obviously it's not in 2021, they didn't have that many, right? But in 2021, I don't know if this is counting PlayStation 4.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but PlayStation 4 was popping.
So you figure,
you know what I mean?
PlayStation 4.
You couldn't find the freaking PlayStation 5, so you had to go ahead and settle for the PlayStation 4
PlayStation 4
version.
is at what, 80 or 100 million? Or
I think it's at 100 million.
I think it was at 100 million, right? So, like, you figure
that's crazy.
Like, that's not a lot of people who are playing Call of Duty.
Yep.
It's just more than most people play other games, right?
It's more than they play it in other platforms, I think.
It's way more than they play on other platforms.
So I think that's the situation.
But the point is that the judge was making it her business. Well, actually, let me finish this. So 1 million users spent 100% of their time on Call of Duty. In 2021, Call of Duty players spent an average of 116 hours per year playing Call of Duty. Okay. Call of Duty's players spending more than 70% of their time on Call of Duty spent an average of 296 hours on the franchise. So if you think about that, the people who are spending 70% of their time on Call of Duty, 290, so let's say 300 hours.
Okay.
That's 25 hours a month, roughly.
Maybe.
Damn.
Right?
When you put it like that, it puts it into perspective, right?
So
because
how hardcore are they actually? Because
we're looking
that's
at
not
like
even
less than an hour a day. Yes, assuming like it's an everyday thing. Now, I don't know. It depends. If it's compacted into the weekend and that's just when they can play, it's like...
Yeah. Or this front loaded, which means in the beginning they play a bunch of hours and then they slowly die down and stop.
Out.
And it's only the million people who play only Call of Duty who are making the majority of time up.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is all averages. Right? So the point that the judge was trying to make is like, well, when you say these people are going to leave, are you telling me, because this is not all the numbers, they also show a percentage of like people who did less than 5 hours, which was a big percentage, right? There's a lot of people who just buy the game and
it all has to balance
they don't
out.
sit there and play it, right? So she was basically saying like, are you trying to tell me that the people who only spend 5 hours a year or 20 hours a year
are going to
leave PlayStation to go to Xbox when that's the majority of the people, right? Like that's
ridiculous.
Stupid. Very stupid.
Yeah,
and again, let's not forget that they are giving you a 10-year deal. Sign the contract.
Yeah, like just do it and you'll be fine.
And that's it. But that's not the problem here.
Yeah, it's because they just want to.
And also, listen, we talked about how the value of this company, and I felt like, of Activision, and I felt like it was just right because of everything that Microsoft has been going through with Diablo coming out, Diablo 4. Like, the value of Activision actually went up even higher than it was when they first made that.
If they had to renegotiate, it would be for much more.
Much more money.
Absolutely. So that's why this is just, it's a silly thing. And I don't see how the judge will look at this any other way. It just can't be.
100%.
I refuse to believe it. It's not possible.
Refuse.
Yes.
All right. So let me go back over here. All right. So next up.
Let's go.
Wait, I need a charger. Got my charger.
Oh, my phone is charged today.
That's a good move, Doodle.
That's a great move, you guys. My phone is always dying.
She is the queen of dead phones.
Without fail.
Yeah, for sure.
Facts.
For sure. Yeah,
okay.
I have a problem, you guys.
We're going to move over to our boy, Satya Nadella.
Let's go.
Nutella.
Not Nutella. Don't mock this man.
Ooh.
Put some respect on his name.
Oh.
Okay. Satya Nadella. All right. He's out here giving testimonies.
Okay? But Nutella's so good.
It is good. It is good. He was out there. So basically, they ask him a bunch of questions. It's all the same stuff, right? They're asking him all the same shit.
Yeah.
He's saying, he's testifying. He's the freaking head of Microsoft saying,
I know.
Call of Duty will be on PlayStation under oath. It's happening. Okay. So that's all good. But one of the things that a lot of people are picking up on is a statement that he made.
God bless you.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
So he says he would love to get rid of exclusives, but he blames Sony for having defined market competition.
Oh, I like that statement.
He says, I have no love for that world.
I like that.
That's his.
Okay.
I like him.
Because if you got to think about Satya, right? Satya Nadella, well, he took Microsoft and brought it to where it is.
Yes.
This trillions of dollars, that's Satya.
Yeah.
Okay. They were not at that level. But what he did was he took Microsoft from being a closed ecosystem, which is what essentially Sony is, right?
Yeah.
That's what they want to be. So Microsoft was that. Okay. And that means that they were forcing, like, if you wanted to use Office, you had to be subscribed or pay for their Windows products, right? Like, you had to do it. And it was only on their place, only on PC. But since then, Satya, he really believes in the cloud, right? And being everywhere. He wants his products everywhere. So people just have easy access to his products.
That's how Philly sold him.
Exactly. That's why he knew exactly what he was doing. That's why you can use Office on your iPhone, on an Apple product. You could use it on your Mac. You could use it in the web.
Yeah,
you can use it everywhere.
Baby.
It doesn't matter. They don't care. They'll put it anywhere. And as long as you're paying for their subscription service, which is what they do, you're good to go. And you can use all of their stuff, not just Office. You can use Excel and whatever else products they have, PowerPoint, right? So they put that all out there to be used, right? They also have like a free version of it, it's a lighter version of it, but a free version of it, and you could pay to get more features, all this stuff. Like, he knows what he wants out of the gaming industry. He just can't do it, and it's not his fault. He's saying he can't do it because PlayStation has made it that exclusives are the thing that you're judged by.
Yes.
And if you don't have exclusives, you don't have anything, right? But the fact that he went out and said that, it's huge because you see how forthright he is. And the fact that he's telling you, like, no, I'm going to have Call of Duty everywhere. He doesn't like exclusives.
Yeah.
Why would he? Like, he's telling you, like, this is my chance to have something everywhere. I want to have it everywhere.
And guys, look, they bought Minecraft, right?
And they kept it everywhere. In fact, they brought it to more platforms.
Yes, they did. It's crazy. But guess what, guys? Think about this. That's how they make more money. Not everybody has an Xbox. So the more places you have this game on, the more money you're going to make.
Call of Duty is like Minecraft. Like, it didn't become popular because it's restricted to a console. It became popular because it was everywhere you could think of. Call of Duty, obviously not on Nintendo, but everywhere.
It's too big to take away.
And
right? Just like Minecraft was. Like, Minecraft is already ingrained. You can't take it away. You would just lose if you did that. So they're not. And that's the same thing they're doing with Call of Duty.
And guys,
now,
let me real quick. Let's talk about the fact that if there are no exclusives, we're fairly competing. What this does with exclusives is essentially cheating. You're saying, I have this, so you have to come to me if you want to touch it, right? It's essentially cheating. Yes, they're paying for the exclusive, but it's like
it's not really their exclusive.
Yeah. It
makes sense when, like, there are times where games would just never been made if it weren't for exclusivity. Like, Bayonetta 2 and 3 would not have existed if Nintendo didn't, like, help them out, but in exchange, make it exclusive to Wii U and Switch.
Yeah.
So it has to happen in certain cases. Or like Capcom and like Street Fighter V, that was PlayStation only, not because they thought it looked right, but because Street Fighter V wouldn't have been made. Remember, Capcom was struggling a very long time until Resident Evil 7 basically broke the curse.
And that's why it's so important what Xbox is doing out there, buying these companies that maybe don't have the money that they need to go ahead and make the projects that they want.
For example, Psychonauts 2 is going to be half the game it was. Like, literally half. Cut in half the game. That was going to be the game.
It wasn't going to have bosses either.
Yeah. So what were you going to say?
Jacob's dropping bombs out here.
He's saying at Minecraft. Nice. I heard about this beforehand. Haven't played Minecraft on Switch, but I do know that if you could sign into your Microsoft account via the Switch and get achievements and stuff like that. Linked to your Xbox version or Xbox account. So that's pretty rad, honestly. Yeah. And I think that Call of Duty, if they did with Call of Duty, that would make a lot of sense.
Well, they already have that with Battle.net, right? Like, I'm pretty sure that they have, not already have that on like the phones and stuff like that, but meaning they already have a account that they use to link it to different places, right? So same thing with like Diablo. Right now, you have your Battle.net account on your Xbox, you have it on your PlayStation, you have it on the PC, and it's not, your saves are synced to that account.
They're all held together.
You know, when I play on Xbox, then I jump on my ROG Ally, I can play handheld, and I'm in the same place, right? No matter what I want to do. So, so it's definitely, it makes sense, Jacob, that they're going to put some account. I don't know, maybe they'll just use Battle.net to make it so that Sony doesn't cry. About it, because Battle.net's already on PlayStation because of Diablo, right? And I'm sure other games too, maybe Overwatch. But the point is once they have Battle.net and it's theirs, all they have to do is link Battle.net to their Microsoft account. So the forward-facing, PlayStation sign will say Battle.net, but on the back end, all that information is turning you into an Xbox customer.
Damn.
Yeah.
There you go, Jacob. You ain't messing around.
No.
That's factually the thing that makes sense to do. 100%. So our boy Satya, he's making it as clear as day.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Don't cry. I actually have his exact quote right here. If it was up to me, I would love to get rid of the entire exclusives on console. But that's not for me to define, especially as a low share player in the console market. The dominant player there, Sony, has defined market competition using exclusives. So that's the world we live in. I have no love for that world. Dude,
I like him.
Bro, I don't know. I just listening to that, like if you're the judge, right? And you're hearing the head of Microsoft. Remember, Jim Ryan's not the head of Sony.
No.
Okay. He's the head of
Sony.
PlayStation.
Oh yeah, PlayStation.
And I love they're bringing everybody out. They're like, okay, this is what we're
Microsoft
doing,
is
but
not-
we're together. We're
Like they're not kidding around
Yeah,
here.
like their mindset, they're showing that they're a unit, and what's being said, it's what they all feel. Right?
Absolutely.
I like that a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a huge thing that Satya is coming out here,
Yeah,
being there.
It's a
and
big
doing-
deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
it shouldn't
doing what
be
you do.
overlooked. You made a great point. Jim Ryan is not the head
Of course.
of Sony. You know what I mean?
They're not. He's just
So-
PlayStation. And Sony can dictate whatever they want. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people forget that. Right?
Yes.
A lot of people forget that. What's up, Shin?
Shin, welcome.
So a lot of people, they link Microsoft and Xbox so
Mhm.
heavily, right? So they know that Satya is there. They know all this stuff. But like people just stop at Jim Ryan
Yes.
and they forget that Jim Ryan is not the head honcho. He's beholden to Sony, right? And
Agreed. And you think, listen, I'm guilty. I think Sony, I think PlayStation, right? That's where my mind goes.
yeah, but they're
That's
not.
fair.
It's not.
PlayStation's a part of them.
Yeah.
But they have other things that they do. They function outside
It's
of
just
PlayStation.
a branch.
It's their biggest branch
Yes.
now.
But it's
Like
a
their
branch.
film part
They're
is
not
failing
ran.
badly for the most part. And and even TV stuff, they're like second class
Yeah,
to like
guys.
Samsung or LG.
Samsung.
Well,
Samsungs.
the
Love
TV
the
game is
Samsungs.
too hard to
LG.
break.
Mhm.
Like Sony makes a good TV, but the brand recognition is gone. Only
Yeah.
like old heads, like back in the day, older folks who like
Mhm.
remember when Sony was the shit
What was
with
Sony?
TVs.
Yeah, it was
they're
popping.
they're the only people who go out and buy a Sony.
Yeah.
I would never buy a Sony TV. Why? I have a beautiful OLED LG. We have like 6 of them in the house because it's worth
He's not
it.
bragging.
Guys,
I'm not
no.
bragging.
See, Money has, guys, listen, he has a thing for TVs.
I went through a phase.
He's,
I'm not in that phase anymore.
you're going through.
Okay.
Sure.
Listen, he's got a problem.
I'm glad
All
I
right?
didn't
You
buy
guys
that
should
8K
tell him
TV
he has
though.
a problem. So I'm not the only one telling him he has a problem.
It's not a problem.
All right? It's a problem.
You need to see high
Money.
quality content wherever you are. Okay. If I want to see it here or in my living room, I want to see good TV. All right.
All right. All
Either
right.
way
See,
makes sense.
let's not
Sony-
open that can. All
Sony
right?
Is banking on PlayStation big time. But like
Yeah.
Satya said, that he met with the head of Sony as well. Right. But
Yeah.
again, as a group of people in the gaming community, we just stop with Jim for some reason.
Yeah.
Where on Xbox we're like, well, Satya's involved, right? Like we
Mhm.
know that, right? So
But see, you say that comfortably because you know that. I'm sure 100% Jacob knows that. Madman knows that.
Of course.
You know, I know, but there's a lot of people that don't know this, right? So to them, it's just Philly Phil.
Philly Phil.
Yeah.
Phil Steak.
I
All right.
love me some Philly Phil.
Yeah, Phil's the man.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. Bobby
Uh-huh.
Kotick, okay, he is the CEO, the current CEO of Activision.
Okay.
Okay, so I didn't know this because when this took place, I was relatively young, so I didn't realize it. But Bobby Kotick, as much shit as people give him, and much of a douchebag as he is, for
Okay.
sure.
Those are very kind words.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Douchebag, jerk,
pretty much
a-hole.
known
You
that
know,
he's
as much as
he's
he
an
is.
asshole. Okay,
all
we
of
just
those
found out
things.
about what he was doing to Xbox before he got bought out. That he was trying to hard sell them on the 80-20 versus,
Oh my gosh, that
Remember
was so
that.
shady.
Yeah, so that the Bobby's still shady, right? So
Yes.
let's call it what it is. It is what
Let's
it is.
call him
right?
Shady Bobby. I
But-
like the name.
That being said, Activision was going away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was going away. And I'm sorry, Activision was going away. Bobby Kotick bought it 30 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
When it was on its way out. he bought it and brought it back to life.
This is exactly my point that I was making before. Just because something's not popping at the moment, and look at Activision now and what it's worth.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
100%.
Jacob put in the chat that I miss Kevin Butler, who played the CEO in ads during the PS3 era. Yes.
Dang.
He was so funny, bro.
Wait, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
So there was
Wait, do tell. Jacob, give us the juice.
This guy,
Yeah.
Kevin Butler, he made commercials for Sony, and he would just say the funniest shit.
Really?
But he wasn't the actual CEO, but he
was like
played
the-
He
it.
was a face.
The fake. He's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
get the people on your side.
Like-
You're the people guy.
Like Geico with the little,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
That's
He's
exactly
the
what it
mascot.
was.
The mascot.
He
Yes,
he was
thank you.
really funny, and then one day they just stopped using him,
Paying him money.
and now every time I see him on a show or on a commercial or something, it's like, oh man, I remember him.
PS3 days. It's funny because back in the day, like when the PS3 first came out, they did like these weird looking ads, just like for no fucking reason. Like Glass, the one of the dolls staring at like the PlayStation 3. Like they did some funky shit because they knew, we can do whatever we want. People will buy it. And then they didn't. And then when the price cut came and newer models, I think that's when they introduced him. And you know, the rest is history.
Yeah, he was
Nice.
good. He was good. We do miss him. He got sued by Sony for appearing in an ad for the Wii. Oh shit.
No.
Oh.
Damn.
Get the hell out of here.
Damn, that's cold.
So
that's
that's how
cool.
he's out.
Yeah.
Damn.
Probably. I
Okay,
don't know if that's
so
how, but it might be
Jacob,
after.
thanks to you guys, we got to Google some of these commercials. I got to see them.
All right.
All right.
We will for sure.
All right.
All right.
Thank
so
you, Jake.
our boy Bobby, okay, he said a few things. But one of the things that he said, which makes sense, but you know, him saying it makes it very real.
Okay.
He told the court that if the judge grants the PI, the injunction, and stops this deal from happening right now,
Okay.
that Activision is going to walk away.
Okay.
Okay,
What does
'cause-
that mean?
So July 18th,
All right, break it
July
down.
18th is the last day
Yes.
that this deal can close. July 19th or forward, they will have to renegotiate.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Or don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to them. They don't have to do shit. But after the 18th, if the deal's not closed, it's done. The problem is the injunction happens, the court date for this is going to be after that time period. So they would have to renegotiate in order to do this. That's why when I look at the court, the trial that took
Mhm.
place, and I hear the judge questioning all the stupid shit the FTC kept saying,
Yes.
she has to do that with the understanding that this ruling is not all right, we're going to grant this and we'll see you in a few months for the
Yeah,
trial.
it's not.
You're making the decision for the case right now.
And I feel like that's why she's trimming the fat. She's getting right to the point. She's cutting off the bullshit. Let's go. It's not necessary, you know, the runaround.
Yep.
That's why she's being so
Absolutely.
cutthroat.
It's do or die right now.
Yes.
So if she says that I'm going to grant the FTC, the PI, the injunction, this is over.
Yeah.
Microsoft and Activision are done. Now, if she approves it, that's the other side of it. She also knows that if she approves it, it's going to happen right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The deal's going to go through. So that's the scary part, right? It depends on how she's
It's a
weighing
lot
it.
of weight on her shoulders, right? But I don't know. I feel like the answer's really obvious.
Like
And
it's all just
and
what ifs, right?
Yes.
That's all the FTC is supposing here is what if this,
Mhm.
what if this, what if this. And the big thing that, you know, we have in our country, so where we're supposed to have, is that we're not supposed to go off of what ifs.
No.
It's supposed to be facts.
Mhm.
This is the factual
Yep.
thing that will happen, so it can't be let through.
Exactly.
That's it. Whereas, let's say in the UK, the CMA, they can actually play make believe,
Yeah.
and they could pretend and think of a future that may happen in somebody's mind
Or not.
and say, you know what, we can't let this go
Yeah.
through because what if this
This is the
happens?
scenario, yeah.
and then you know we're over, right? Boom.
Like, what if
Blocked.
Xbox acquires Activision? The apocalypse will begin. Oh, that's valid.
Valid. Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
So here, though, in America, we don't have that, right? Here, it's supposed to be based off the facts. And that's why she keeps diving deeper into, like, but what facts do you have? Like,
exactly.
How did you get to that number? How did you do this? She's trying to find the facts in the story, and the story has no facts.
And that's the problem. And that's why it's like, how did it get this far? Yeah, I think that now Activision has that Diablo money. They have a higher stance. And I feel like this will kind of be a waste of time and money for Microsoft if it doesn't happen.
Great. Web Dave, welcome, man. What is up, my friend?
Dave, thank you for stopping by. Welcome.
Hello there.
Jacob put, I thought MS could close the ABK deal 5 days after if Xbox gets approved over the UK. Well, not over so they can, okay, so if Microsoft gets approved in the US, they can close in the US after 5 days. And they'll close over the CMA because they don't give a shit about the CMA right now. Meaning they're not going to let the CMA stop them. Yeah. Right? So as long...
They'll worry about that later.
They want to close... is the United States right now and all the other countries that approved it.
Like, can you imagine going through that process again? Like, that would be crazy.
There is one more country that came into the picture now to kind of talk a little shit, and we'll talk about it in a second. I want to finish Bobby Kotick.
To talk shit. I like that. All right, let's go.
But
I like where this is going.
Yeah, right?
But that's a whole nother joke. Okay, so Bobby did go ahead and he confirmed that if the PI gets granted, deal's over, deal's dead. So we know that to be true. That's a great thing for the judge to hear, to make her understand the gravity of what she's going to be deciding. And I'm sorry, at the end of the day, I know I keep going back to this, but at the end of the day, she has to look and see that all the what ifs are just that what ifs.
Exactly.
What she knows for a fact, the factual information she has is if the deal goes through, Call of Duty will be on streaming services all over the world. Nintendo is guaranteed to get Call of Duty.
Guys, when we have Nintendo signing a 10-year contract with Xbox, with Microsoft, like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, if Nintendo's playing ball, why can't Sony just be cool, you know?
Yep.
Join the pact.
Nintendo, they always do their own thing. Like, dude, they sign a contract with freaking Philly Steakhouse.
Like, they would love to have Call of Duty on their platform, but there's a lot of limitations to that. So a lot of which Activision does not want to deal with. So now that Microsoft is, the head of management, they're like, oh, you're doing this. You're bringing these games to Nintendo. And they're like, yes, sir. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So another thing that our boy Kotick, Bobby Boy, he did, again, just kind of confirm. Today, could you stream Call of Duty from any platform to another platform? No, we haven't given those rights to anyone. So absent the deal, do you have any plans to put or permit Call of Duty to be streamed? No. That's what Bobby said. So that is a fact right now. So that's what she has to go based off of, right? When she's making this decision.
Yeah.
Now, the one little thing that as I read it, it's like, okay, this is one little thing, but I still don't think that this is a win, quote unquote, for FTC. But they did ask, the judge actually asked Bobby if you would like to be able to put Call of Duty on Nintendo Switch. He said, I think we would consider it. Okay. Not this one, but the new one. Mm-hmm. Right. So he talks about how he missed out on the Switch. He made a bad call, he says. Right. He should have put Call of Duty on the Switch.
I like hearing that.
Okay. Yes. But he is saying that he might be willing to go ahead and put it on the next one, on the Switch 2, which, Xbox for putting a contract in place saying we guarantee it's going to be on the next one is very different than Bobby saying I would consider putting it on the next one, right?
That is true.
So those are two very different things.
He will consider it, and we know that he didn't do it with the Switch, right?
Yep.
So what's to guarantee or was to say that he will go ahead and do that?
He said the only thing that would stop it is if like the terms weren't good or the power, like if the specifications for the system wasn't enough. He said if he can make a good Call of Duty for the Nintendo Switch 2, he would consider it.
But did he
However,
say to?
we know that
Yeah.
Nintendo, they don't play
the second
games,
Switch.
right? And we also know that Activision was trying to do an 80-20 deal with Xbox, right? They were trying to corner them into that. So I don't know. I don't know how that negotiation will go between Nintendo and them if they're not bought by Microsoft.
Even Jacob says it. Why would she even reject the deal? Because even if FTC had some points, MS ultimately have the high ground. They do. They had everything. Remember, we have to remember that Microsoft, the only thing that they're doing is giving facts to the judge for her to understand. But the FTC is the one on trial here.
Exactly,
Like, they're the ones who have to prove
Jeez.
shit.
Like,
Because
this is crazy.
If they don't prove it, the deal goes through. That's what it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? If
It's
they
supposed
don't
to go
approve
through.
it, the deal goes through.
Mm-hmm.
So, come on. They didn't prove it. They didn't prove it. There's nothing that was said that proves, nothing that anyone who's rational, who is listening to this trial or who's been reading it, can take away that and say that, oh no, look at this in writing. If the deal goes through, this is screwed. No, there's nothing. It's all fake, made up ideas.
And I love, again, the way that Microsoft came out. They came out as a team. They had everybody out there, you know, and they were not afraid, again, as Jimmy Ryan was, to show up.
Absolutely.
Nobody's hiding. And that's what it shows. Nobody's hiding anything.
1000%.
We're united in the decisions that we're making.
United States
whole.
of gaming.
Microsoft, Xbox, all together.
Yep.
Absolutely. 100%. Oh, 3 villains, Jacob says. 3 villains. Genghis Khan, Shao Kahn, and FTC's Lena Khan.
Nice. That was priceless.
Yo,
That was
dope.
awesome.
That's dope. You know what we need to do? We gotta make a meme for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Put that together. The 3 cons. That's dope.
Oh, yeah.
I would love that.
That's
there we
dope.
go.
All right. So moving on here.
Yes. What do you got, C?
Amy Hood is Microsoft's CFO. Okay, so she's the chief financial officer. Okay, so Amy Hood went ahead and they didn't actually call her to the stand. She sent in a video, but they didn't even want to. The FTC didn't even want to ask her anything.
Yeah.
Because Amy was pretty straightforward, and from my understanding of her, like, her name is Amy Hood, and she's Hood.
She Hood.
She's Hood. Like, she don't take no shit from nobody.
Good. I like that.
Right? That's why they didn't even bother
Bringing her
putting
in.
her
Yeah.
on the stand. Right? Purple Berry says, C-Money, say what FTC stands for. Again, King David on the Iron Lord said this, and it had me rolling, and I'm going to forever steal it. But FTC stands for F the consumer.
Nice.
Facts.
That was beautiful.
100%.
That's what they're trying to do.
Those are
Which
facts.
is crazy. So, all right. So Amy says the possibility of making Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox was never assessed or discussed with me. To be clear, she is the one who ultimately approved the deal. It's the $69 billion deal.
Yes.
She had to approve it for Microsoft to say, okay, we'll spend that money to make this happen.
Okay.
So she had to approve it. Okay. So she says that it never came up to her, nor was it even mentioned in any of the presentations to or discussions with the board of directors. Okay. So she said that she never heard of this idea of Call of Duty being exclusive to Microsoft at any point whatsoever. And that
So that wasn't pitched to her.
It was never pitched to her. And that the company's intention was to continue developing all acquired games and franchises and continue selling on all relevant platforms. Android, iOS, PlayStation, Steam, Switch, Windows, Xbox, etc. Okay. So as far as Amy Hood is concerned, who said, okay, Phil, take this money, go make this deal happen.
It wasn't with the idea of
It
making it
was never with
exclusive.
the idea of making it exclusive.
And listen, I would say this. I could be petty as hell with the crap that Jim Ryan has been doing and how this has been dragged. I will make that exclusive in a heartbeat, even if I miss out of freaking money just to show him. All right, I'll show you, Jimmy Jim. But like, that's not the route they're trying to take, and it's been obvious.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they've made it very clear.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is. Wouldn't you be pissed though?
Yeah.
I'd be mad as hell.
It's crazy. It's crazy what this is happening. I don't
Holding
even know.
grudges.
Dude, I would not be successful in this situation because I would be like, PlayStation, you are dead to me.
Yeah.
Delete. Whatever link I have, delete, gone.
Oh,
dead
God. Yeah.
What's up, Shin? How you doing, bud? We're good, man. Having fun. All right, next. Our boy Phil.
Yes.
Philly cheesesteak.
Apparently there was a meeting.
Okay.
Back in November of 2021. Okay. And in that meeting, when did the ZeniMax deal close? It was beginning of 2021, right?
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
Pretty sure, right? It was like at the end of 2020 that they announced it, and then 2021 it went through, or was it the end of 2021 and then 2022 it went through, and then right after they announced that they were acquiring Activision? Is it something like that?
It was like a year after they.
Okay,
like,
so
did it.
all right, so this was already done, right? But there was a meeting with all the exclusives from Xbox and from Bethesda.
Okay.
And in that meeting, there was a lot of stir going on because during a conversation, they said that there was a decision that Phil Spencer made to keep all of Bethesda's games exclusive to Xbox. Not just new IP, but all of the games. Okay. So I feel like when we saw the thing, he pretty much said like it's going to be a case by case scenario, but he said we can't say all are exclusive because it would be a lie, right?
Yeah.
You got Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, games that are ongoing on PlayStation that are going to stay there, right? So they're not going to make it. But he made it clear that it was for us to get, exclusive games, right? Like that was the whole point. But they were talking. So I guess a message between Stewart and Matt Booty, I guess this little snippet of their conversation got taken out.
Yeah.
And Stewart says to Booty, so he says, all games going forward. And Booty says, not just new IP, but all games going forward.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Booty confirmed the move, reiterating that Phil told them all titles going forward are Xbox exclusive. Now, Stewart said that would now have issues in the deal model as we pull a huge number of PS units out of the model, right? So again, they have to kind of make sure that it makes sense for them, right?
Yeah.
So they have to make sure they're going to make the money back, right? But when you think about the fact that I don't even understand why is this a discussion? If they want to make all the games, if he wants to take the studios that he purchased
and make them all exclusive, that's his problem.
It's exclusive.
That's his prerogative.
It's his.
Yes.
Why have we gotten into this world where PlayStation can buy a studio and nobody questions if it's going to be exclusive?
Yeah, no answers necessary.
No one does it. But Xbox buys studios, and it's like, I wonder.
Explain yourself. What are you going to do with it?
If they're going to keep it exclusive.
What's going to happen? And then demand that these things take place. Like the situation with Activision has been ridiculous enough, but like to now go ahead and start talking about Bethesda and everything else, like, dude, that's their business.
Yeah.
That's why they're paying this money. And that's why it's hard for me to comprehend. Like, if I'm putting out the money, you're not going to tell me shit. Yep. You're not going to tell me what I'm going to do with what I just bought. It's mine.
Exactly. So
you
this
don't get
did
to
happen.
do that.
So, okay, Jacob just put it in here for me because I do remember, and that's why it was a big deal. The ZeniMax acquisition was announced the day before the Xbox Series S and X pre-orders happened. So this was at the end of 2020, and then end of 2020, and then in 2021 the deal was closed, signed, sealed, delivered. Right,
signed, sealed, delivered.
So yes, I remember that because it was like, oh my god, they just bought them. and then that's what. Yeah,
that
I
was a
remember.
big deal.
That was wild. So yeah,
Thank
so then
you,
this
Jacob.
happened. So then this meeting happened in November of 2021, which was
Okay.
after the fact, which is a big deal. Which is a big deal because that's exactly what it should be. There should not be a discussion about Xbox giving PlayStation more games. It just shouldn't be. Jacob did do another chat before, which again just highlights how crazy this whole thing is. Even when Phil swore an oath that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation, where you break an oath, you go to jail.
Yep.
The FTC still was like, so you're gonna make COD exclusive.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
What are you talking about?
Yo,
Why are we even
that's
discussing
crazy.
this, dude? You got everybody saying it. You have these are not like Satya Nadella is not
Like, what else do they have to
like
do?
some schemer. He's not some
Yeah.
punk. He's in charge of trillions of dollars worth of a company.
Okay, so this
He's not
is
going to take an oath and be like, "Oh, gotcha."
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was gonna say. They're worth. They have so much money. They know what's at risk. Do you think that they're gonna go ahead and like lie and play games like under oath? Like that's ridiculous.
Crazy. It makes no sense to.
That's crazy.
It makes no sense.
Can you imagine
whatsoever?
end up locked
And
up over
and
this?
obviously, dude, Xbox is going to buy more shit.
Yes.
This is not the end.
No,
This is just the beginning.
So and that's what I'm excited to find out.
They're
like,
going to
what's
go
next.
ahead and lie to the FTC now, so that when they go want to buy
The
somebody
relationship
else,
is messed up.
they're going to always be able to say, "Look, you lied."
Yep.
That's stupid, bro.
Now,
It's
see, money, real
idiotic, to
quick.
say the least.
Man, we were talking yesterday about what could possibly be next, and I love what you said.
That's a topic.
including.
Yes, that's a topic.
Oh,
That's-
my bad. My bad. All right.
Don't hop.
All right.
Don't hop.
No hopping.
No hopping.
No hopping.
Now, there was a when the Xbox Series X and Series S first launched, right? There was
Yeah.
a scarcity to the Xbox Series X, right? They were hard to find them. It was a lot easier to find the Series S,
Yes.
but the X were harder to get. So, Jess Corden had done some reporting, and he was saying that one of the big reasons why a lot of the Series X are not available is because they're taking the Series X and they're using them for the cloud. Because
Gotcha. Okay.
remember, when the cloud gaming first happened, it was on the Xbox One hardware. So it didn't look great. So
Right.
it was like, why would I play like that when I
Yeah.
can play on my One X? It looks way better. But then they upgraded all to Series X technology.
Okay.
So it's basically every time you're playing on the cloud, you're logging into a Series X in the cloud.
In the cloud.
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's why it works so great and it looks so great, right? But there was but we didn't know that. That was just Jez putting that out there.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't know that to be sure. So there was an email. Again, the gift that keeps on giving.
Seriously.
We found out all the back end information. So I will read this. This is just kind of confirming what we now know to be true. But Phil had put this out in the email. So when the question comes up about why don't we have more Xbox consoles right now, there are many factors, but I think we aren't really focusing on the right issue if we are focusing on the yield miss for Scarlet or the Halo launch date miss. Both are execution issues, not ducking those. They are just not the main factors in our console scarcity. Gaming makes sense for Microsoft, in my opinion, as the focus on consumer. I can see no other clear consumer category with this TAM, I don't know what that means, where Microsoft has the product truth today and customer demand that we have in gaming, and where the disruption that is happening in the business plays to some of the Microsoft's long-term strengths, cloud and subs. Okay, cloud and subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
On the capital allocation that we are making in gaming, I believe our investments in content and xCloud are critical to realizing our potential in gaming. Excuse me. Amazon Luna and Google Stadia do not have the console strength we have, giving us developer engagement, gaming community, and catalog of content. There's a whole bunch of redacted stuff. Then it says, as a team, we are starting to work through our fiscal year 2022 plan. I realize that what I'm typing is almost the exact definition of the innovator's dilemma. excuse me. From strategy perspective, I believe in our trade-offs for cloud and content in gaming over console volume. I would obviously love to invest in all unconstrained, but I completely support the trade-offs we are making with hardware timelines. We can't be as agile on supply when our revenue or AM targets exceed budgets as we are seeing in fiscal year 21, even without Halo. Move that for a second, but move that. Probably the other direction. Sorry about that. So we are making Q2 and Q3 decisions to air freight consoles this fiscal year, which will pull some volume forward given how our P&L is tracking, but this is more of a timing fix than a volume fix. We need to plan our fiscal year 22 hardware volumes now. With our strategy and opportunity, console volume will still be the thing we constrain to grow our long-term ambition. This is long, it's almost done though. So while we talk about yield as our issue with Xbox Series SX today, there is some small truth to that, but in reality, if our yield was on plan right now, we'd feel the same constraints and customer sentiment. We could sell more consoles this year and next year. There is demand. I'm happy to go deeper on the P&L investments if there is a desire. I realize there are a ton of decisions on spend, C19 impact on gaming release dates, XGP content investments, etc. I believe in the trade-off we are making for our long-term goals, but there are near midterm consumer engagement and console unit volume trade-offs. I wanted to ensure we were all aligned. Okay, so that was long, but it did put into perspective what they were doing, right? So we had consoles that weren't all available, right? They gave up a lot of the console space to PlayStation there, right? Because PlayStation was pumping out as much as they could. Every console sold for PlayStation was in a consumer's hands or in a scalper's hand, right? But on Xbox,
that was so rough.
I know. On Xbox, though, they're taking that money and they're going ahead and they're investing it in the future, right? They're, instead of just pumping out more and more systems, they're trying to invest in the cloud.
That was a big move, by the way.
Absolutely.
Like, to go ahead and knowing that, you know, obviously with the PlayStation, they did struggle. They were buying the PlayStation and, you know, uppricing it. And it's like they could have taken that moment and just said, let's just pump out the Xbox. And they didn't.
They didn't, because they knew they'd still be able to sell them.
It's a bigger picture.
But it was a bigger picture that they had to play. And remember, they're coming off of a generation that they lost.
Exactly.
Badly, right.
And that's what I'm saying. They coming out of that, like they could have like go ahead and given into the idea, right? And just start selling them out.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that they went ahead and they put the investment in the cloud, they put the investment in their content, which is the part that, you know, it's harder to get from this, but they're saying, like, instead of investing all of our money in more and more consoles, right? Let's put it in the cloud and let's put it in our content. We still need to get content now. We need to make these deals. We need to do what we have to do now for the sake of our business for the future. Yeah. Right. So that was a huge thing that gave a lot of perspective as to why there weren't Xbox consoles, the Series X models out there. Right. Jacob in the chat put this out here, and I forgot to mention this, so I'm glad you did. But it was there was something with Jim Ryan that came out because of this as well. But Jacob says, Phil said that there's not a PS5 version of Minecraft because Sony didn't send Mojang dev kits. But he didn't say that that Xbox Series haven't a optimized Minecraft version because that wouldn't be fair, right? Bruh. So it's both ways, right? He didn't get them, but the other thing too is that this was because of the dev kits weren't there. Yeah. But for the deal going through, Ryan is already threatened. And the fact that he would not give Activision PlayStation 6 dev kits.
Exactly. Wait, Simani, real quick, let me get the charger. Thank you. There you go. No, it's not for me. Madman.
It's for me. I need a charger.
Oh, give him the phone. Hand it over.
That's what I was trying to do.
Hand it over.
But yes, okay.
But yes, Jimmy is out there playing hard
he's
to
playing
get,
hardball with
right?
this.
Like,
it's like this is the only thing he knows how to do.
Man.
And it's out like in the open, which is wild, right?
Yeah.
Like he's
got no shame.
It's like a
He
flagrant
just
foul.
likes
You
being
know what I'm
difficult.
saying? But everybody ignores it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an obvious, like crazy thing to say. Like, listen, I'm gonna cry and say that if you buy Activision, you're not gonna make Call of Duty the same on PlayStation 5 and Xbox. But then you
but I'm
also
not
gonna
giving
turn
you the
around and say,
specs.
I'm not gonna
Yes.
let you make the next Call of Duty
But this
for our
is
new
why
system.
they kept trying to corner Microsoft into saying, regardless of anything, you will produce a Call of Duty, right? Regardless of whether we give for PlayStation, whether we give you, and it's going to be exactly the same. Whether we give you the specs for it or not, you're going to figure out a way to do it. They knew what they were trying to corner them into saying, right? Because they were going to withhold information that couldn't make it possible.
Well, that's why when they were questioning Phil about, can you swear under oath that no matter what, you're gonna make it,
No matter what,
you're gonna make it available on PlayStation, and you're gonna. It's like, dude,
I solemnly swear.
assuming that PlayStation doesn't do something stupid, right? Like,
Yeah,
the judge had to
exactly.
say, like, they're not gonna do it for $0, right?
Exactly.
So if
Like-
PlayStation refuses to play ball, then yeah, it won't be, right? It's not guaranteed no matter what. It's as long as we can put it on there
Yes.
with normal terms, we're good to go.
Exactly.
Exactly. Geez, the FTC is just so difficult.
Well, it's not difficult. They're just stupid.
Like a stubborn little child.
Well, they're just like they're saying shit
It's
that
like,
just
hey,
doesn't even make any sense.
You're going to marry me and you're going to be faithful. And this is the relationship that we're going to have. But like, I am not committed to you.
Like, I might cheat on you every 2 seconds.
Yeah, like that's not a
Yeah.
deal. That makes no sense. I can't commit to that if you can't commit to giving me yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Doodle's
Oh my
mind
God.
is running. All right, guys.
Doodle's mind is running. Doodle's
Chill.
mind is running.
Keep it PG-13.
Now, another little email that came out.
Nugget.
Yeah, and this is more. You can turn that back on.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Another little email nugget that came out from
Nugget
our
of
boy
chicken
Phil was just where he is. He compares Xbox to Polaroid. I don't know if you guys remember Polaroid
Yes,
cameras,
the cameras.
the old,
Yeah.
film-based ones. But he said in an email. This is a short email, so I'll read it.
Yes.
I think you and I. He sent this email to Catherine Gluckstein at Xbox. I don't know who she is, but that's who he sent it to. And this was in 2019. I think you and I talk past each other on this one a lot, so I'll try to write up my point of view so we can align. First, we are exactly like Polaroid. We are core gaming, which isn't growing. It's TAM, which again, I don't know what that means. And analogous to film photographers. While mobile gaming, MAU, is growing WW at a significant rate. Like
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Yeah.
at a significant rate. Like digital
Thank you,
photography was
No
growing.
problem.
We have no strategy to win organically in mobile gaming. I can't come up with one. The only thing we could do is close all the Xbox stuff and with the same OPEX, try to start a mobile gaming company inside of Microsoft. This is kind of what Bobby K is trying to do at Activision. So the
Well,
point
simple.
of this is saying that he's understanding that right now, Xbox is not going to grow its console base. Even if it
Yeah.
gets a bigger share, it's not going to be enough that matters to them. Right? They're trying to look outside of Xbox and see where they can have bigger growth, which is why this deal is so huge because they get King, which helps them get into the mobile.
Exactly. Candy
Mobile
Crush.
market.
That's the biggest phone game in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also have Call of Duty on mobile. And I think
Dude,
even
what do you
Satya said
carry
it.
everywhere? You carry your phone, right?
Yep. And they
It's
keep
like-
getting more powerful and more powerful.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you can play Fortnite on your phone against regular
Android.
people.
Oh my gosh, PUBG. PUBG was
That's 10%.
everything.
PUBG was fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, they're being very clear, or Phil's trying to be very clear and get everybody on the same page that they need to move beyond the console.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't like to hear.
They
right?
don't
want to
because
feel like
they
they're going to be
like,
left behind. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's looking to leave anybody behind. He's trying to give the console more by looking elsewhere for the money.
Yeah.
Right? He wants to take the money he makes elsewhere and pump it into the console.
Agree.
To help the console fans, get more from
because
their
when
purchase.
You initially hear that, you're like, okay, so you're putting us on hold to go and explore other things and grow in different directions, right? So it's like a big no-no when you first hear it. But essentially what it's going to do is you as a consumer, if you're having them grow and putting things into the phone, which you carry everywhere, like you're a part of all of that, right?
Yep.
I don't know.
100%. No, it's the truth. Jacob in the chat was clarifying that. So the reason that there's not any next-gen version of Minecraft on the new Xbox is because that would make the PlayStation version underpowered, right? So it'll look like it's the lesser version, and they're not supposed to because of
contracts.
That's messed up. Like they're being held back, obviously, by this contract.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
Remember, they had that.
They're following the rules, though. If this doesn't show you that, they're not finding ways to go around and,
Agreed.
find loopholes,
Agreed.
I don't know what will.
So they went ahead, and I don't know if you guys remember, but they had that big presentation for the super duper graphics pack for Minecraft that was supposed to make it all beautiful and such.
Yeah.
But I think they were looking to put that on the next gen consoles, right? I think that was the goal. And since they couldn't get the PlayStation dev kit in time to be able to do it, they scrapped the whole thing.
Yo, that's
and it's
crazy.
only on PC.
And look at the things they have to go through because, again, they can't get Jim Ryan to kind of work with them,
to play ball, man.
To play ball, essentially.
Yeah,
and that's the problem we have, right? So going from that experience, going ahead and kind of submitting to the fact that at any cost, we're going to go ahead and have it the same, and Call of Duty is going to be on PlayStation. Like it's like a messed up situation. What if they do the same thing that they're doing with Minecraft, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and that's going to be the thing. If they went ahead and did that, that's why they're trying to make the deal. That's why Xbox is just not giving into their bullshit.
Exactly.
They want the deal to be right because they're not going to not make a next gen Xbox version of Call of Duty.
Exactly.
Because
you
PlayStation is trying to hold back their version.
That would be crazy.
That would be
just
bullshit.
to sabotage. But that's the thing, though, right?
Yep. Fuck that.
When you're that person, you figure everybody else is as well. What he's overlooking is the fact that they have a lot of money. So they don't need to play games. They just want your money.
That's it. They just want to keep making that money.
They don't want to fall down into that 80-20 and being cornered and bullied. So they go and buy the building.
That's fair.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So another thing that came out of this, which we don't know if the lawyer just misspoke or what, but if you remember last week, we were talking about how Phil Spencer talked and said that Elder Scrolls 6 is at least 5+ years away.
Yes,
right?
I heard that. Yes.
Okay. So the lawyer for Microsoft was talking to the judge because the FTC had brought up how Elder Scrolls Online would be comparable to Call of Duty. They just mentioned Elder Scrolls. They didn't mention Elder Scrolls Online, right?
Okay.
So she was correcting them, saying that no, it's not the Elder Scroll game that is comparative to Call of Duty. It's Elder Scrolls Online that would be comparative because it's online. But that game is on PlayStation, right? So it's been there and they've released all the new updates for it at the same exact time. So that doesn't make their case. But the game they're referring to is Elder Scrolls, which is single player. And she said that is projected for release in 2026.
What?
Oh. She spilled the beans.
That's what she said.
3 years from now.
That's what she said.
That ain't 5
I don't
years.
listen.
So
I don't think she.
We're supposed to say that.
No, I think she maybe was. I think she got the okay to say that. Like, I don't think that she will go up there and make a mistake like this.
I mean, maybe she seemed very frustrated with these guys. So
well, she could have misspoken, or it could be projected, but that's what we don't know, right? Because if you think about
Don't
our boy
disclose
Todd,
information like
I
this.
know.
That will get everybody hyped up and then take it away.
I know.
I feel like Xbox will be clarifying very quickly, though, if she misspoke.
Well, I mean, right now, no, they're not going to say anything.
don't.
They're
That's
gonna
true.
let the lawyers do what they got to do. But, so Todd had an interview with Ryan McCaffrey from IGN, right? A while ago. And in that interview, this was before the delay from 2022 to now. So in that interview, though, Ryan brought up the idea of the next Elder Scrolls. And when it's going to be so far after Starfield, right?
Yeah.
Like 5 years or so, 5-6 years after Starfield. And Todd said it wasn't going to be quite that long because they've been kind of making it a little bit side to side. You know what I'm saying? Like, like the Starfield, a lot of the technology that's in Starfield is the basis for the technology in Elder Scrolls, right? So theoretically,
so these are hashtag facts.
What he's implying is that they could be projecting it to be released in 2026, right? But it depends on how you view it because
C-Money will be so happy.
Yeah, I would be happy, but at the same time, as I've been thinking about it, because we were talking about this on Boom Show yesterday, and the one thing that I started thinking about with the idea that if they held it out like Phil says, and it's 5 years or so, that'll be 2028, right? And from the court documents, we can see that the new consoles, the new generation, is projected to happen in 2028.
Okay.
Right? So we got to talking about the idea of it being a launch exclusive, right? Like a console launch exclusive. So Xbox will release Elder Scrolls 6 with the new system on release, like on launch. And how powerful that would be.
That would be insane.
That would be really wild.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Plus the idea that, if they're really pushing Starfield, like as far as they can push it, right? I mean, realistically speaking, I would prefer them to be working on Elder Scrolls on the next piece of hardware, right?
Of course.
Like spend the next 5 years just honing your craft and building that world. Because Elder Scrolls is amazing. Like
you did love that game.
I love Skyrim. It's so good. So I really think that would make more sense to me. But if Xbox just wants to smash this generation and
smack
put out
it down,
Starfield and Elder Scrolls in the same generation,
that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy. What do you guys think? You think that's a reality or a possibility?
I think it's possible.
I also think it's possible. The fact that this interview took place, so long ago, and the lawyer misspoke. I don't know, dude. I feel like there's no such thing. Like, I feel like maybe that was supposed to be blabbed out.
Yeah, I mean,
this is what she does. You know what I mean? Like, she's a lawyer. She's used to this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't feel like that was just a mistake.
I feel like the only thing that might have been the mistake is saying it. I don't think that the information is wrong.
Yeah. I think maybe she didn't know she couldn't say that, but I don't know, dude.
Like, maybe she was caught up in the moment trying to prove the other guy's wrong.
Yeah,
he's
but dude,
that game's coming out in 2026. That's not even
imagine being
time.
a lawyer. You're involved with freaking Microsoft. You're gonna go ahead and like you went through everything. Yeah. I don't think that you show up like unprepared and you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, we know Microsoft's squad came prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
FTC, they
not so
come
much.
however they.
Not so much.
Basically, they woke up like this is what they do.
like this. I love that. Yes.
Like they just roll out of bed and
woke
like,
up
I'm
like
here.
this,
Let's do
cracked
it.
out,
Yeah,
idiotic nonsense going on. Yes,
I'm
I
here.
love that. See money.
Yep.
That's
So,
how they woke up.
Now, we were talking about Minecraft, and Jacob had put it in the chat. The FTC lawyer asked them, so you punish Sony by not releasing Minecraft on PlayStation 5
Ooh.
because Sony refused to send Mojang dev kits. That's what
That's
they said to Phil Spencer.
That's what they said that?
Yeah, they were asking him, like, so you're going to punish, like, you punished them for that?
Really?
He's like, well, we didn't punish them. Like, it's like we didn't have the kits in time, so we couldn't do it. But it is playable on the PlayStation 5. Even though it's not me, it doesn't have upgrades for PlayStation 5. It's still playable on the PlayStation 5. And these were all the moments that the FCC just looked so stupid because they were just dumbfounded with the answer back. They're like, oh.
Like, it's
okay.
almost like they didn't go through the information before they went ahead and started asking questions.
It's so stupid.
That's
It's pretty
facts,
comical.
They kind of just heard, oh, well, it wasn't on PlayStation, so let's just throw that in instead of looking into why it wasn't, because all these things just make them look bad. And I don't mean just them. I mean PlayStation, right?
They all look really
It just brings
bad.
up the fact that potentially they won't work with Microsoft to go ahead and get this Call of Duty game rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
On their system.
Absolutely. And while we were talking, Shintaro goes out there and he says facts. Because it's facts. These are just the facts, man.
100%.
That's the
facts
difference.
and nothing more.
That's the difference. These are facts, whereas the FTC lives in the world of make-believe.
Yep.
And they want to pretend that things are going to be an issue because
100%.
they say so.
Of
Jacob
course.
also puts in there, keep in mind this generation had cross-gen games for the first 2 years.
That is true.
Yes. And
That's
I
a
think,
big deal, actually.
So this is the thing, right? I think that this is the last year that that's going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not the last year, the last generation, right? Because going forward, like this generation, the CPU is leaps and bounds better than the prior generation.
Yes.
Right. So going forward, this being the floor for the CPU is great. You know what I'm saying? Like now you're pretty much like what we finally got to is the world of PC land, where like pretty much all the CPUs for the most part are good enough, right? Like that you're not really, going too crazy with the CPU. Like the CPU world changes so slowly compared to the graphics side, right? So now that this generation of CPUs are actually up to snuff,
like caught up, yes, hand in hand.
Now, if there's whatever, like I don't think cross-gen is even going to be a thing anymore. I think it's just going to be in perpetuity. Yeah, it's just this is our new one, but our old one still plays it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like a PC. Like you can use a dirt old PC and play the newest game.
Exactly.
Even if it doesn't run perfectly.
You just got to tone everything down, right? So because CPU doesn't grow as fast, even if the CPU is a lot better in the next one, that doesn't mean that this one is shit. So you're still going to be able to play those games. It's just going to have to lower the frame rate or lower the graphics. But again, at this point, we're like, this is the games we're getting this gen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if next gen, we're just getting that better looking and with better frame rates, but this is what we have to settle with if you don't upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't upgrade to the next console and this is what you're stuck with.
Look at that.
I think we're good, which is cool.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's a huge thing.
Of
and
course.
Jacob did talk about, and we did speak about this last week, but it's worth mentioning again. Indiana Jones was confirmed by Pete Hines to be Xbox and PC only going day one into Game Pass, which I think that's the best
Jacob,
thing.
as it should
they have
be.
to do it.
Right?
Sony's got Spider-Man. They've got Indiana Jones.
You know what?
Yes.
Look, I want to let me take this second real quick because I hear a lot out in the community, specifically in the Xbox community.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quote unquote influencers or, people with a lot of followers or, things like that.
Yeah.
Who, they want when they're, even though they're fans of Xbox, they like to put themselves in the camp where they're like so kumbaya, right?
Yeah.
Like how we thought Phil and Matt Booty were before we saw how gangster they are through the trial. But they like to do that, right? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I was just listening to Kind of Funny, and XCast, and like Paris Lilly, cool guy. I watch a lot of his stuff. He's been in like the Xbox shows now. With Flight Sim, he's been in there. But like him, and same thing with Satya and Nadella, right? And Phil, and like a lot of people who say it, but a lot of like the community members say the same thing, and it blows my mind.
Okay.
They say that they don't want to have, like, they wish all games were not exclusive, right? Now, we know why Satya doesn't, because he wants to make money.
Exactly.
Right? He doesn't give a shit about
He wants it everywhere,
game.
yes.
He wants it everywhere because of money.
That's the way to make the most money
alone,
possible,
okay?
yes.
So that's where he's at.
Yeah.
But as a consumer, right? Like as a gamer,
yeah.
I don't believe that for a second that we should not have exclusives. Actually, we should have everything exclusive if we could. And the reason is,
then why are you going to buy certain consoles?
Well, not even. It's because we don't have, like, gaming is not the same as like the movie industry or the TV industry.
That it looks the same.
I can go to the store and I can buy like if I, for instance, well, either streaming, both, it works the same way. If I want to use my Xbox as a 4K Blu-ray player, or if I want to go buy a Sony 4K Blu-ray player or an LG 4K Blu-ray player, and I want to plug in my disc, it's going to play the movie the same.
The same way.
It's going to be identical no matter which box I use, because they all have the same specifications.
This.
But this is not where we are. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I'm just going to say it. And know that I don't mean it that way in a bad way, but it's just the way I can think of it right now. I think it's fucking stupid to say that you should not have exclusives, because the fact of the matter is, if I want my games to take the most, make the most use out of the Xbox or out of the PlayStation, they need to be exclusive. There are most of the best looking games that exist on console are exclusive. Exclusives.
See, money, listen.
That's just the reality of what it is. And I want the best looking shit that I can play.
You brought up an excellent point that could potentially be overlooked, right?
Yeah, it's
ignored. That is such a big deal. And I didn't think of it. I'm glad you thought of it, because it's a big, big thing you brought up. All the systems are not the same. Your analogy behind it was great. A Blu-ray or 4K movie, you go ahead, you put it in. It doesn't matter what you put it into. Obviously, the television has something to do with how it looks, but essentially, it's going to play the same exact way. Yep. But a PlayStation and an Xbox and Nintendo, they're not the same.
Different.
They're different.
They're different.
And so, if you're making a game and you're making it for your system, you're going to push that system and make it look as good as possible in there.
And features of your system.
Unique features, things that you know how to work with, because that's why you have them in your system. That's a huge deal.
It is. And until we live in a world where the Xbox and the PlayStation are 100% identical and the Nintendo Switch is 100% identical to each other, there's no way that having games just be all over the place is the best scenario.
And this brings us right back to the Minecraft situation, right? They couldn't produce the game because they didn't have the specs. Yep. And the same thing will happen with Call of Duty. Why? Because it's not the same system.
If Minecraft
so you
was
can't
exclusive,
do it the same way.
We would be playing, not that I play Minecraft, but we would be playing an amazing
much
version
better version
of Minecraft.
It. Yes.
But they can't do it because of PlayStation's nonsense, because it's not exclusive. It's multi-plat. And that's why all of these third-party games don't look great on the Xbox or don't look that much better, because PlayStation has them locked on this freaking parity clause. So they have to make the game look the same.
Yeah. Excellent point, C-Money.
That's trash. Jacob put in here, remember the rumor that Xbox would buy Netflix for $190 million?
Oh, my gosh.
That must have been a long time ago, because $190 million is pennies now. Maybe $190 billion.
Damn.
That would be much more likely at this point.
Could you imagine?
But again, it would make sense that they could, because they're not in that business.
Netflix just keeps on growing, and it's something, again, that they don't have.
Yep.
That would be crazy. And now, especially making so many games that are being turned into like shows and everything like that, man, that would be amazing.
Like Netflix is making a Gears of War movie and show, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Possible, yeah. So yeah, that would be pretty cool for them because then they can get all their games into good TV shows,
right?
Like quality.
All right, so this is going to be the last thing in particular to the trial scenario.
Do tell.
That came out directly. That's its own thing. We found out that the Sony deal for Call of Duty, even though it's supposed to expire in 2024,
yeah,
it doesn't actually cover a 2024 Call of Duty. It ends in 2023. And if you think about it, it makes sense because the game comes out in 2023 at the end of the year.
Yes.
And then for the rest of 2024, they can market that game, but they don't have the next Call of Duty game after that.
Ooh.
So when you hear that, when I hear that specifically, and I think that they did not go ahead and lock down this 10-year deal.
Right?
You're so stupid, bro.
Dude, what if, like, remember, in Europe, they don't have their approval to purchase the Activision.
Yes.
There's no constraints on exclusivity.
Yeah.
It's only on cloud. It's only on cloud that there's any questions. Not on exclusivity. They can keep the system. They can keep the game on Xbox if they wanted to. So for the balls, and that's why Lulu, that's why it makes sense. Remember when Lulu put out that tweet of that picture of PlayStation saying, we are afraid of losing Call of Duty. And then he says, we're not going to sign the Call of Duty thing. And then, they put the stick in the wheel and he falls over. And it's like, now we don't have Call of Duty type deal.
Yeah.
Because they still, they still have power, right? They still have power of like, we don't know what's to come. He doesn't want to sign that deal. This deal's going to go through. What if they don't want to work with PlayStation?
They shouldn't want
listen, they will. They will
do that. They will, but I can't imagine Activision wanting to freaking do that. Like, I'll be doing it mad bitter.
Yeah. Or like at the worst terms possible.
Like, I just want you to know, go fuck yourself, Jim Ryan, and here's your Call of Duty.
Yeah, right.
All right,
but that was just that was just crazy to find out that's where they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They only have one left and we're not quite sure what's going to happen.
What route this is going to take.
But
Jimmy, start signing some contracts, bro.
I'm really intrigued.
Start giving into the fact that you don't hold all the power.
Yeah, acceptance.
Bro.
Yeah, he's not the king, bro.
Yes, we got to get him there. We got to get him to acceptance. And then, maybe we can all move on.
Yes.
I'm ready to move on with you, Jimmy Jim.
Come on now, you got to do it. You got to do it, bro.
Ready to move on.
For us all.
And listen, I'm ready to move on to the next topic. See, what you got?
We are ready to move on to the next topic.
Nice.
So one of the things that came out that I feel is a bombshell for us because in the community,
yes,
during this time, right, there had been a lot of talk about its acquisition season.
Okay.
So there was big talk. Like everybody was like, "Oh my God, there's so many people going to be purchased by Xbox. Xbox is going to be buying so many different people, right?"
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that was a lie. It was nonsense. All this stuff." Well, during the court case, it came out. So this, and I'm keeping this separate from the whole. So that was the last thing with the court case. This is just all different news. So this is like our gaming news block. It came out that there was a list came out of all of the studios that Xbox has been considering purchasing.
Bro.
Dude, they have so many people on the list. Like, remember, the Activision deal wasn't set at this time, right? So they're spending $69 billion on just Activision.
Yeah.
If they took that money and put it towards the list that they had,
around,
they would have bought so many people.
Yeah.
So they have a list of over 100 people that they were considering, like 100, different studios and publishers that they were considering, right? So everybody's on the list. Like, there was nobody spared, right? Everybody
Capcom
was on the list. So many people. But they got serious. They actually whittled it down to like 17 different companies.
Yeah.
So you had Behavior Interactive, House Marquee, People Can Fly, Remedy Entertainment. Those were developers that they were looking at.
It's like a hit list.
Then you
like,
had-
we
Yeah,
got that
right?
many.
Yeah, seriously. Then you had developers that self-publish. You have 11-Bit Studios, which we just said did a big deal with Microsoft to put all their games in Game Pass.
Yeah.
Okay, to be clear. You have Bohemia Interactive, Bungie. Then again, this is older. So Bungie,
Yeah.
we know since got bought
By
by-
PlayStation.
by
Sony.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Jacob says that Capcom wasn't on the list, and he wished they were.
Yeah.
But I think they might be in the future. This is an old list. Now Phil's got a new list that he's gonna make.
I know.
With all the big dogs.
So Crytek is on there, which for me is huge. I just want them to buy Crytek because I want Rise 2. Just give me Rise 2. I'll be so happy.
Son of Italy.
Son of it, whatever. Son of wherever. IO Interactive, which we have a little juicy news bit about them.
Oh.
Larian Studios, Manicore Games, Playdead, who makes
Ooh, the Inside and
Limbo
Limbo.
and Inside. Rebellion Developments, Thunderful, and Supergiant Games.
Wicked.
And then for a publisher, this is what got everybody going crazy. They were looking at Paradox Interactive, which
Fun.
low key they have a lot of games that they're putting out. But the bigger one is Sega.
Sega.
Woo!
Imagine Sonic
Yes.
as an Xbox mascot. That would just be creepy.
That
Like
would
Sonic
be
and
full
Crash.
circle, bro. Full
I
circle.
will love that.
That means
That would
Sonic
be
and
epic.
Crash will be siblings.
Right?
Yes.
That would be wild. That would
And
be wild.
Funny
why?
thing is that-
Go ahead.
Well, the funny
I
thing is
can't
that
wait.
it makes a lot of sense. Have you noticed that Xbox has been pushing Persona like crazy?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sega owns Persona.
Yep.
So that means they must have a close relationship.
Easter egg.
So they
Easter
do,
egg.
right? So they do. So this makes sense that they were on there because the talks, it wasn't just a list that they made for
Publishers.
That was a Christmas list, you guys.
for Sega, it didn't just go as far as putting their name on a list.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have confirmation.
Uh-oh.
We have confirmation that our boy Phil,
What?
sold
was
himself to Sega.
actively trying to buy Sega.
Really?
Bruh.
We have an email.
No.
We have an email.
Yo, these freaking emails are crazy.
I really like Sonic the
Now-
Hedgehog, sir. I want to buy it.
Now remember, this date was done. This was done on
Tell.
November 10th, 2020.
Okay.
This is
Right.
2.5 years ago. Again, literally like days before they announced they were buying Bethesda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. They went ahead and sent this email. So this is Phil sending it to everybody at the company.
Oh, wait, hold on. Resident Evil is my favorite horror game. Yes, Jacob.
Makes sense.
Resident Evil's dope.
Madman
Resident
loves
Evil's peak.
Resident
You must
Evil.
be living your best life right now with all
Yes.
these remakes because they are killing it out here.
We-
Capcom
Which
is
one
on
did we
fire.
play?
Resident
in-
Evil 4
remake.
Resident Evil 4. Oh my God, it's so good.
It is a great
Yes.
game. I'm
Ah.
definitely playing through it. It's great.
Very good.
So
Very
good.
good.
We did a gameplay.
Yeah, we
Actually, we
did.
did two. No, we did an extended
Yeah,
play
we did
too.
an extended play
Oh,
on
you
it.
guys
Oh my
did?
gosh,
Okay.
it's so good.
All
Sorry,
right.
C, go
No
ahead.
problem. So
got excited
Phil
when I saw it.
Spencer, like I said, sent this to everybody. So Amy Hood, Satya Nadella, all the big
Yes.
dogs. Okay. Sarah Bond too is in there. All right. The
But he
subject.
didn't send it to us. He didn't.
All right. He didn't send it to us. Are you ready? The subject.
Go ahead.
Request for strategy approval,
Oh,
Sega.
Oh.
I'm writing to request strategy approval to approach Sega Sammy regarding a potential acquisition of their Sega gaming studios. For context, Bill and I have reviewed the business case for acquiring Sega and are both supportive. We
Ooh.
believe that Sega has built a well-balanced portfolio of games across segments with global geographic appeal
That's true.
and will help us accelerate Xbox Game Pass both on and off console. Please find the attached memo and bullets below for additional detail on our strategy to prioritize our next acquisition target, a brief overview of Sega's gaming portfolio, and the value drivers for the potential acquisition. Please let us know if you have any questions or concerns or would like us to schedule time to discuss live. Thanks, Phil.
Damn.
So
man.
he
Phil.
put out there,
So
prioritizing acquisition targets. To help inform our next strategic acquisition target, we have identified top priority segment and geographic combinations for Xbox in order. PC in North America and Europe. Mobile in North America and Europe. Console and PC in APAC. APC. APAC.
Ape.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
Keeping in mind these leading priorities, we evaluated a set of targets, both individually and in combination of our own studios, to determine the best strategic fit. Sega is the most attractive next acquisition target due to its global PC catalog, presence on mobile in Asia, and global brand affinity on console through its classic IP.
Right.
Excuse me.
Sonic the Hedgehog is green now.
Sega overview.
Could you imagine?
That'd be funny.
Based in Tokyo, Japan, Sega is one of the largest and most recognizable publishers in the world. It is a division of Sega Sammy, a publicly traded company. Estimated value, $2.3 billion.
Ooh.
That operates in several other businesses, including pachinko machines and resorts. Oh man, they have resorts too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Get a discount if you're subscribed to Ultimate.
Game Pass.
I'm down.
That'd be something.
Sega's consumer gaming studios have a proven portfolio that includes global console depth. Move that again, bud. Global console depth and back catalog. Sega's console portfolio spans generations and contains some of the industry's most recognizable franchises, including Sonic the Hedgehog,
Yes.
Megami Tensei, and Yakuza.
Yep.
Global PC catalog. Sega has, through its own studios and acquired ones, established expertise at developing and publishing high-quality, deeply engaging PC content that would greatly enhance a gaming subscription service, including pay-to-play titles such as Football Manager. Funny enough, those are the people who came out saying they love Game Pass.
Oh,
right?
we're
Talked
trying to see
about
a
it.
connection here.
Oh.
That was Sega.
Yes.
Sega.
And Total War, as well as free-to-play titles like Phantasy Star Online 2.
It's still going.
And mobile presence in Asia, Sega has a notable mobile presence in Asia, particularly in Japan, via mobile-first games. They did approximately $250 million in 2019, often as extensions of their existing IP. Value drivers. We believe that an acquisition of Sega's consumer division would drive strategy and economic value for Microsoft through Xbox Game Pass. Subscription exclusivity of current and future releases will improve Xbox Game Pass's appeal and value to players. This will result in new subscribers across console, PC, and cloud. Further, the global appeal of Sega's beloved IP will help expand Xbox Game Pass's reach to new audiences around the world, most notably in Asia, where localized content is critical to success.
Yeah.
And then game transactions. We will continue to sell acquired games and franchises across all game platforms. Previously unavailable titles on Xbox will be brought over to the platform for additional monetization opportunities, and future titles will no longer observe a delay of launching on Xbox. Next steps. If SA is received, the broader working team will investigate the following questions in parallel and any additional concerns you might have. Detailed post-acquisition integration plan, financial modeling, including impacts to Xbox Game Pass and game transactions, and discussion of a potential acquisition with Sega Sammy leadership. Once these investigations are complete, if warranted, we would request A2N from you, Satya, and the board before extending an offer. Okay, that was a lot.
That
That
was
was a
it's
lot.
just so cool though to hear how like Phil goes about kind of putting together what he needs to say
Like what? They're
to
like
go ahead and make
30-something
the next
studios.
move. You know what I
Imagine having
mean?
to do that like 30
Yeah.
times.
Well, I mean, obviously this is a big deal. This type of big
Yes.
acquisition. This is a publisher, so he's not doing just a studio. It's a little different.
Yeah.
You're talking billions of dollars here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot. And it's really cool that you do see how methodical they are
Right?
with it. Like they don't just say, it would be cool to buy Sega. Let's do it.
Let's go pick it up, right?
It's like they needed to make sense to them.
Yeah. And they need to look at everything, dude. They were talking about mobile and freaking
Shinko machines.
Yes, like that's crazy, like how detailed it has to be. And then it has to make sense to him, and then he kind of has to talk everybody else into it. He did drop a name in there, kind of like, we're on board, we're seeing it the same way. And then like, we just need to know what you guys think, willing to meet up and talk about this. And all I can say is that I'm so excited for that new Sega game coming out this year. The Sonic game.
Superstars?
Yes. I'm super pumped that they're taking it back like old school, the way that it used to be with modern graphics.
Yeah. And remember, a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is coming to Game Pass day and date.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so this Sega deal, right? Remember, this is 2020, right?
Yeah.
So Jacob actually puts a into the chat. If Xbox buys Sega, they have the following 2D and 3D mascots: Crash, Spyro, Banjo-Kazooie, Steve and Alex from Minecraft, Blinks the Cat, and Sonic.
Damn.
That's
wild.
crazy.
They have an army of mascots.
Yeah.
That's wild. They can
And
make their Smash Brothers.
That matter. You know what I mean? That means something to us.
Of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Blinks the Cat.
Yeah, it would be a big deal. But the one thing that they did put in there, though, is that it would be multi-platform games.
Yeah.
So they're buying them. They would basically, what they were going to do is, remember, Atlas Persona, all those games are always on PlayStation only.
For a long time.
Yes.
So they were essentially going to do the same thing that they were doing with everything else now. They're just going to go buy the building. It's like, listen, we're trying to get you to make the game for us. You don't want to make it. Let's just go buy the building. It's done. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you remember, right now that we know this email happened, I'm pretty sure it happened after this, Sega and Microsoft did make an alliance.
Yeah.
Okay. And they said that they were working together to use their servers and all that stuff to make a super game.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
So Microsoft and Sega are made an alliance to work on this super game that's not an Xbox exclusive. It's going to be everywhere. But they're working together, right? And at the time,
super, I think of Mario.
Yeah, I know. At the time, when this first came out, everybody was talking about how, like, oh, this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know, they're not gonna, this is just for that game. They're not getting closer or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right. And, I remember specifically from the Iron Lords, Lord Sovereign went ahead and said that he doesn't think anything's going to come from this, right? So he owes King his knees if Persona 6 comes and it's released.
Persona 6 is an Xbox exclusive.
Not even if it's exclusive, if it just releases on Xbox on the same day and date.
But wouldn't that be badass?
We remember this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
But the point is that ever since then, though, what was like this thing where, nothing's going to come from it, all of a sudden, what did you just say? Atlas games are coming to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
And not only Atlas games coming to Game Pass, not only Persona, but their new game that they're making,
Metaphor,
whatever it is, that's also coming to Xbox, right? They're working together. They're showing
very closely.
Yes.
Right? They're showing it more and more. Yakuza started coming to Game Pass. Like, these are all games that were PlayStation focused.
Mm-hmm. That's what's such a big deal, guys. Like, they were PlayStation focused. And like, it's easy to think of this and say, oh, well, that was 3 years ago. That's not happening. But you got to remember that these deals take time. And obviously they were busy. They were also buying other things, right? So they had other contracts in line, and they can't just buy everything at once. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, we can always look at the crumbs that they're leaving behind and pay attention to, the path that they're taking. And as Madman stated with Persona and,
Actually, I'm sure they just said multi-platform, but wouldn't it be creepy if they had the first reveal trailer for Persona 6 that's only on Xbox?
I mean, it could. Anything could happen. Crazy. Anything could happen. But
money talks.
Is the thing. It does talk, right? And you got to remember the timing,
smart,
right?
Though. Think about it. Sorry. But I just thought about it. It just came to me. Sony makes Final Fantasy exclusive. It would only make sense for Xbox to make Persona kind of like their exclusive JRPG.
Well, that's what it looks like.
That would be pretty dope.
I don't know about
Batman.
exclusive, but it looks like they're trying to
push it.
align Persona with Xbox so that they can create their own kind of,
Image.
look, if you like Persona, you got to come to Xbox because it's in Game Pass for free. So
and that's the allure, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
course.
But keep it in mind that the timing of this. Remember, November 11, 2020, our boy Jacob told us that the Bethesda deal was announced days before the pre-order. So this was all happening around the same time. Bethesda was a must get done. They had to buy it in order to stop the Starfield deal.
Yeah.
So they had to do that, which, if you could imagine at that point, makes the Sega deal say, okay, well, we can't do both right now. Right? We got to get one done and then get the other one in.
And now Activision, right? We were talking about how the PlayStation didn't have a Call of Duty for 2024. And look at where this deal was lining up to, right? When PlayStation no longer had a contract for Call of Duty.
Yeah, but and again, Activision was another must do, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't them methodically saying, okay, let's figure out, should we buy Activision? No, it was just like, oh shit, their stock is in the trash because of all the lawsuits they have going on.
Yeah.
This is our one moment in time where we can
To snatch
actually
them up.
buy this company. So they had to do it, right? So again, push this thing back, right?
And this is why, like now with, Diablo and everything else, maybe that deal won't go through if it doesn't go through now.
Oh yeah, well,
Now,
it won't. For sure.
I'm digging this, Jacob. Jacob is saying, imagine getting a Sonic game where Sonic
graphics are
meets
good.
that too, where Sonic meets a green version of himself, right? That would be pretty
Master
dope.
Chief.
Master Chief.
Right?
Oh, Master Sonic.
Master
I'm
Sonic.
Master Sonic.
Yes.
Yeah, the FTC would have a fun time trying to stop that. But
Yeah.
yes, now this is the thing.
Go ahead.
They didn't just let this, like, this was out there. This is a known email now. So obviously people are going to come knocking on Sega's door. Like, what's what?
Yeah.
If this actually happened on the ship, right? So Sega basically says that they have a very close relationship with Microsoft and Xbox. He says Microsoft values Sega more than Sony and Nintendo do.
What?
Okay.
Oh.
And the last thing he said is they have no plans to be acquired for now.
For now.
Which, again, right now,
They
Xbox
can't.
can't do it.
Yes.
So this is the thing. When this deal's over,
then they have plans to be acquired.
dude, I could
Right?
imagine that I feel like they're making this like a yearly
they
event.
threw everybody under the bus, by the way, with that
Oh, yeah.
message.
Well, they
all
don't
right?
care. They don't
They
care.
don't
They're
care,
letting them
yes.
know. Like, Microsoft is giving us the bag. Like,
Yeah.
Microsoft loves us.
Yep.
You don't love us no more.
Yep.
Okay, so we're with them, right? And that's the way.
And
that it looks
listen,
like.
they've been grouping everybody in, and let's not act stupid and think that there can't be anything other than a actual contract that you sign. You have conversations. You go ahead and you make these friendships, right? Where you can go ahead and say, well, listen, once this deal goes through, you're next. You know what I mean? Like, hold me, daddy. You know?
Hold me, daddy.
Let's go.
Hold
Just
me,
saying.
daddy. That's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. It's a big thing. And I think that after this Activision deal closes, I think they will go ahead and focus on acquiring some of the smaller people that they were
Because this was such a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So they'll get some of the smaller people they were looking at, and then they'll go ahead and I think next year we hear about Sega.
Yeah, I think so too.
That'll probably be
Coming on
like their
board.
big
I think so.
acquisition.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not Activision big, but do you think that it would be like a breaking news? They bought Sega, or it would be like at a conference, like we have officially acquired Sega.
No, because it's gonna have to go through regulation. So there's no point of doing it on a show.
Like it's too big
because it won't be sealed. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you would have to announce that you're gonna buy them, and then you're gonna start the process of trying to acquire them completely.
I mean, do you think that they give them such a hard time, like with Activision?
That's what I was going to say.
Depends on what happens with
Hopefully this will make
Activision.
it a little easier.
Yeah, if this deal goes through with Activision, then any smaller deal and
Should be
basically,
fine.
if this deal goes through, there is not a company that, aside from Xbox trying to buy Sony or Nintendo, there's not a company that they couldn't buy.
Yeah.
Because there's no game bigger than Call of Duty and there's no deal bigger than Activision.
Will they try to buy Epic?
They could if they want.
I mean, it's Fortnite. They're not much else.
Fortnite, man.
Yeah, it's just the one game. But again, if they buy Activision, then that will prove that they're willing to keep the game everywhere. So Fortnite is everywhere and they wouldn't lose that. But who knows?
Right.
Yeah, Jacob says it has to go to the courts if Xbox acquires Sega for more than $999 million, which they're worth $2.3 billion, and you're going to get a premium on that. So you figure they probably buy them for like $10 billion or something like that.
Ooh. Dang, they're generous,
man.
Well, they bought Bethesda for $8.
So okay, so I didn't know this, and I'm just asking because I'm seeing Jacob over here with the info. So anything over $1 billion goes through this whole process?
Through the court?
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, I'm not 100% on that, but I know that Amy Hood said that anything under 500 million, I think, she can approve without the board.
Without a problem.
Without putting it to the board.
Man, can you imagine? That's a lot of power.
Yeah, so she could just say, yeah, you can buy it if it's less than 500 mil. Everything above that has to get approved by the board. So that would be
just
crazy.
Saying.
So talking about Sega, right? Now, there was another thing that came out that...
Oh, classic Sega.
Philly Phil was actually looking into possibly purchasing Square Enix.
Bruh. What?
The people who make Final Fantasy back in 2019.
God. God.
That would be hilarious.
Oh my God.
Like Final 16? Yeah, that's coming to Xbox.
So what is he doing to Jimmy Jim, yo?
I know. He's gonna buy Sony out of business. Matt Booty wasn't lying, bro.
He was not, because at this point, like something like this happened, and I could just see Jimmy Jim on camera just plucking all his hair out. Like he will lose his freaking. I will lose my mind for him. Like, holy crap, what are you guys doing?
Bro, I can see like 40 years from now, them being like, we have officially acquired Sony. The Last of Us on Xbox.
It will have to get to that point.
The only way they could buy Sony is if
they need
Amazon or Apple came in and became a bigger entity.
Which we already heard how they feel about the idea of Amazon getting into these games.
Exactly.
Like they're a joke.
They really
the one
did.
that would be crazy is if Apple did it.
I mean,
people think that Apple might buy Sony.
I mean, that was a rumor way back when, but it hadn't really come up again for a while.
Yeah, but that would level them out.
That would actually be better.
Yeah.
I would love that. If Apple were to buy Sony, they'll make amazing hardware.
Because, dude, they will be playing on the same playground. And I will love that. It'll be fair, right?
I mean, Apple's also a troll company.
I'll have the money to spend.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Jacob just put this in here. I had no idea. Square Enix approved the acquisition. But at the last second, Xbox went for Bethesda instead.
No.
Damn.
Well, because remember what I just said. Bethesda was we have to get now.
Oh, because of Starfield. Yes.
We have to get now. So remember, this is at the 2019. They're talking. So they actually went ahead and got to the point where Square Enix was like, yeah, we'll do it. And Xbox is like, listen, we can't do this right now because Bethesda. So
okay, but this is confirmation, Jacob. You're just giving us confirmation right now that they were pretty much sealed. So that means they were like, yo,
this deal's going to be good to go,
hold the
bro.
phone. Yeah.
Yo, Sega
we'll
and Square Enix.
Jesus. Yo, they're just scooping people up, yo. Scoop us up, Philly Phil.
That's right.
They would have to make Square Enix exclusive. Like Final Fantasy exclusive, that would be wild.
Okay, so this is the thing. Now all the puzzle pieces start going together.
Yes.
So Square Enix is like, okay, Big Daddy Phil is coming to save the day. We don't have to stress about money.
Right?
We're good to go. Right? Now, remember, that game Outriders came and it was on Xbox Game Pass day and date, right? And then now that the deal fell through and all this stuff, all of a sudden they're butthurt and they got Final Fantasy exclusive. They're not letting Final Fantasy Remake go over there. They're trying to show them like, oh, you hurt us deep, right?
You cut us
Remember,
deep,
they had to sell Crystal Dynamics. They had to sell Eidos. Their whole Western division they sold to Embracer, right? And now I believe it even more that they basically use Embracer as a holding spot.
Yeah, like hold this for us.
Yeah, because Embracer lost their big deal too. Yeah. I wonder if they were negotiating with Microsoft too. And they pulled out like, nah, we're not going to do it.
That'd be really funny.
That would have been crazy.
Okay, this is bigger than I thought. Like, I knew that Xbox had a plan. I knew that they were building like this freaking army.
Xbox
but this is bigger than I imagined.
They're the Grim Reaper in the gaming industry.
They're getting it.
Dude,
that's crazy.
They're going crazy. And this is, listen, just because the talk finished now, doesn't mean it can't restart when that time comes.
I think they need to go ahead and buy the smaller things and get some of them in there, the ones that don't require going to court, and then, give it a little bit of air before you go ahead and get back in there. You don't want to leave and then show your face again. Go and pick up some other smaller companies for now, until we forget a little bit about this whole situation.
Yeah, I think they buy smaller companies and then next year they pick another big one.
Yeah, agree. Man, I don't know. I'm pumped.
Me too.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Yes.
Insane.
So, now, if you remember, we spoke earlier about another country.
Yes.
That decided to come and try to block the deal.
Yeah. To block the deal.
To block the deal.
Okay.
Technically, I don't think they can block the deal.
Is it a country that approved it and now it's backpedaling?
No, Brazil approved it a long time ago. It's Canada.
Ooh.
Canadians.
Our neighbors to the north.
Really? Oh.
They are saying, now, this is the thing. When I say I don't think they can, is because the time has left.
Yes, the time has passed.
The time has passed. So they would theoretically, it's not valid that they can't block it. But I don't think this deal is going to get stopped by them. But they did it almost to show that they're aligning with the FTC.
Yes, actually, that's exactly what went through my mind as soon as you said our neighbors, right? It's like, this is like a, we're together type of situation.
Yep. But once this gets approved by the United States, like meaning it doesn't get blocked.
Yeah.
Then Canada's going to fold, obviously. They're not going to want to be left out.
I don't think so.
So, yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
That was a fun fact there.
Yeah, fun fact that they came out here acting big dog.
Yeah.
Jacob says, then this may hold some water. If Xbox buys Square Enix and after ABK, they're technically a monopoly in MMOs, ESO, StarCraft, and Square stuff. Yeah, but you know what? The thing is that there's, and World of Warcraft and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But they, there's still other ones, especially like Japanese, like not Japanese, but Asian ones, like Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
All that stuff is technically, MMOs. They're just free to play.
Multiplayer.
But there's quite a few MMOs out there that are free to play that get you, massive. Like I feel like the argument can be there to stop that, like to stop making it a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I think if they try to call them a monopoly, it's clearly nothing stops anyone from making another MMO, and like Final Fantasy 14
is a massive one.
Is massive, but by definition, it's a massively multiplayer online game. So it has to be online for everybody. So you can't like take it away from other systems or anything like that to make it successful, right? Even though technically it's not on Xbox right now.
No,
that's
it's not.
Wild thing.
So,
yeah, Jacob says there's over 1,500 publishers left. Ooh. Somebody pointed out to him on Twitter. That's a lot of companies. There's no monopolies to be had when you buy a few, right?
Man.
So yeah, and then this one I thought was a was just funny because the CMA,
Yeah.
they filed an application to delay the hearing with Xbox.
Yeah.
And CAT, which is the tribunal that basically sits above them, they denied it.
Ooh.
They're like, no, you didn't give a reason enough to go ahead and delay it. Like, if anything, it should be the opposite. You know, like it should be you're slowing the process when you should be moving forward quicker. So that was pretty cool to be able to have that done, and
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
not have to deal with the same nonsense anymore. So another quick thing with exclusives.
Do tell.
We did, quote unquote, find out that we have another exclusive that's been confirmed. Now, Jess Corden had done, he had put out this information in the past that IO Interactive is making a exclusive game for Xbox called Project Dragon.
Cool.
Okay. So IO Interactive are the people who make Hitman.
Okay.
Okay. So we haven't heard anything from them since they made Hitman 3. They've been kind of laying low. And there's this project that's being made. And in the filing, it says that it's listed as Xbox and PC only, not PlayStation.
Okay.
Also, IO is making 007. They have a James Bond game that they're making. They call it Project 007. And the platform is still to be announced. Okay? It's still to be announced, which means they are on that list, by the way. If you remember, we talked about the list of people to be bought.
Yes.
They're there.
They were on that list. So you figure they're holding out on getting IO Interactive.
Yeah.
Because if they do buy them, then that James Bond game will be exclusive.
Yes.
See, right now, the James Bond game doesn't have any platforms attached to it. So you can go ahead and make it exclusive.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is a pretty cool tidbit that was there. Man, you know, there is so much. There's like so much more.
What do you mean so much more?
Stuff to go through. Like a massive amount.
Yeah.
Massive?
Yeah, like as I'm looking through this list.
Why don't you make
There's like a shit ton of topics still left to talk about.
Why don't you make a two-parter?
What I think is we're gonna hit one more topic.
Ooh.
And then we will save the rest for next week.
Oh, all right.
Or maybe in midweek we might do like a midweek version.
Oh, I like that. It's
just
a holiday week.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe just do a midweek and hit the rest of it. Because
I love that.
I'm looking at the clock and we're at like 3 hours and 30 minutes.
We are? Oh my gosh.
And honestly, like if we did the rest of this, you're talking
we'll be here for another 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours. Like it's crazy.
Oh, but I'm loving this, guys. Because we normally do one podcast a week on Saturdays, right? So we'll be back during the week with another podcast. I like that.
I think it's the thing that makes sense to do because there's just
too many.
There's just
so what
much.
We'll do is we'll put it on our Discord ahead of time when we're gonna go ahead and have the podcast. I like that.
Yeah, I think so. It's just too much. So the one thing I do want to touch on, and we'll wrap it up here, is so Perfect Dark. Okay, it's the Xbox exclusive by The Initiative. The Initiative is a studio that they built from the ground up, and they are now partnering with Crystal Dynamics, the people who rebooted Tomb Raider. And that's the game that's being made. So we saw it back in 2020.
Yes.
At the Game Awards show. And they made a CGI for it and they put it out there and we've been kind of just waiting to hear more and we haven't. And this past showcase for Xbox, afterwards, there was an interview with Matt Booty and Phil and everybody on Giant Bomb. And Matt Booty discussed the future of what they're going to be able to show, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, you didn't show this, you didn't show this. And it's like, dude, we have so many shows to show things at. And like what's going to be ready for when. They have to kind of plot it out, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we already know what 2024 is looking like, right? But he's talking about like, what are we showing for 2025, right? Like what's going to be next. So he mentioned Perfect Dark as one of the next games in the next 18 months that he's put his hands on. He's played it and he's already setting it up to go and be shown in the next
Ooh.
18 months, right?
I like that.
So that was a little update that we got on Perfect Dark, right?
Yeah.
But since then, Rebecca Valentine over at IGN, I believe that's who did this.
I love that name, Rebecca Valentine.
Yeah, isn't it a pretty name?
Yeah, love
Very
that.
nice.
She did a big story, actually. She interviewed 13, she had 13 sources on this, and she did a big interview about Perfect Dark and the whole thing. Because if you remember, the initiative was started brand new, but there was a big shakeup. A lot of people left because they changed the way they were going to make the games and do all this stuff. So they had a big kind of public shakeout, but we didn't really know what happened or why. So she did a deep dive on the game and kind of what was going on at the studio.
Yeah.
So first thing that I didn't know about, and I never thought I heard of it, but apparently it was out there. When they first started development, they had a development partner, which was Certain Affinity.
Okay.
Now, Certain Affinity, they basically, the guy who runs Certain Affinity, he used to work at Bungie. He made Halo 2 multiplayer
Okay.
for Xbox, right?
Yes.
So then he went off, made his own thing, and he basically has been working with Xbox ever since. Like, they've done other stuff, but they always work on essentially, multiplayer for Xbox, and they always help out with that, right?
Yeah.
So they were helping with Perfect Dark, but apparently, because the way Initiative was set up, they were looking for a partner to like help them, like help them come
Grow.
up with the game
Yeah.
and make the game, not just we come up with everything and you just do the work
Yeah.
for us, right? So
Help them grow.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that didn't work out because Certain Affinity is more of like a tell us what you want to do and we'll do it, So that lasted for a year, and then they just didn't renew their work
they
together.
parted
They parted
ways.
ways fine, because Certain Affinity is still working with Xbox to this day. So after that, that's when they got Certain Affinity involved.
Okay.
But there was like a lot of turmoil in between. But that's just the growing pains, right? Like they try to make this out to be a huge thing, but it's just development. Like starting a new studio, going through the growing pains, and going, to get to a point where they can work well with Crystal Dynamics. That's what they've been doing, and they've been on that road, and they've been slowly, making more progress on the game. So they're saying that the game is still years away. But if you think about what Matt Booty said, he said about 18 months, right? So that's a year and a half just to show the game, right? So you figure they showed us Fable now, and it's not going to release for another year to year and a half to maybe 2 years, right? So they showed us middle of 2023. We probably won't see that game till end of 2023 or the following year, right? So you figure if they show us Perfect Dark within the next 18 months, that puts us by the end of 2024. And then you figure the game will be released sometime after that, sometime maybe 6 months to a year and a half. Puts us at, 2026 for that game?
Okay.
Excuse me. It's not that far.
It's not. Listen,
It's not that far. They're trying to make it like a negative.
In like another thing that's happening, I don't know if for you guys, but I feel like time is going by so quickly.
Man, it flies by.
And you think of like a year and you're like, oh, wow, a year. It's a long time. And before you know it, you're like,
right,
during the freaking summertime and like fall is right around the corner. Like, it's crazy how fast time is going by. At least I feel that way.
Well, guys, today's July 1st.
Yes. Happy
Yes, it
1st
is.
of July, you guys.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Very first.
That's crazy. Like the time is just disappearing.
It
right?
is.
So I just wanted to bring that up because I think there's a lot of like negative ideas of what happened there. But if you read the whole thing, it's pretty lengthy. Like she did a really good job. It starts off kind of focusing on the bad things that were happening, but they've turned it around. They've been working on it and they've been moving forward. And pretty much at this point, it's a Crystal Dynamics game for the most part.
And that's essentially the story of Xbox. They've been, trying to catch up. And I think COVID hit and it was such a big situation then with Halo being delayed for a year. And it's like they're finally catching up and the wheels are rolling and they're buying and just growing. And the studios that they did buy are starting to produce. And it's from what we've seen from them for the last year and a half, it's like what we're going to see starting pretty much this September is going to be amazing. And I feel like the wheels are just running now. They don't rely on Halo anymore. And now they have time to go ahead and give you games, even though they're working on, you know, Master Chief, right? That's awesome.
Absolutely. 100%. So that is it, guys. Now, I do want to see Jacob here has some clarification. Jez thought Project Dragon was an exclusive. Then he said that it might be a canceled game, but also the chart with the info from the game is from 2021. I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously a lot can happen in a couple of years. Like we definitely know a lot has changed, right?
Yeah.
But it's literally Xbox bought Bethesda and they're buying Activision, both unplanned. Right? They were not part of the structure. Like in those lists, Bethesda wasn't part of the list. Obviously, that list came out after they bought them. But the point is that when they were looking 2019, looking at Square, right? Bethesda wasn't in the pipeline. They were trying to buy Square.
Mm-hmm.
Activision wasn't in the pipeline. They were trying to buy Sega, right? And then boom, things changed, and this is where we are, right? So a lot of time has passed.
It just sucks for the ones that get like put on hold, right? Because I do believe that they're just put on hold, and it's all gonna come.
Well, it's nice. It's you got to imagine there's some type of paperwork in there saying like, "Hey, we're gonna come back for you."
Yeah.
So you know, it gives you a little stress relief where it's like, okay, we can be okay because we got a buyer coming soon.
Yes.
Right. So I can envision that, but.
Takes a lot of pressure off.
That is it. That is where we're going to end this podcast.
Yeah. Guys, we had the best time. Like 3 hours went by really quickly because I was having an awesome time. Hope you guys did too. I hope you guys did too.
It was a radical time.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody who stopped by. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Shout out to Jacob, our boy Jacob. Man.
Jacob, you were
coming
great.
with the knowledge, bro.
Yes, you're awesome. Thank you for being
with
here.
The knowledge, yes. Appreciate it very much. Again, we're going to make this a part 1, and we'll come back midweek to finish off the rest of everything else because there's still literally so much.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to keep that till next week
because then it'll just be inflated to like an obscene degree.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
I love this.
If you look at in the description, I went ahead and I wrote out everything that we were going to talk about. So
just cut in between and put part 1 and then put part 2 coming soon.
Yeah.
Wait, so is it podcast 51 part 2 or is it podcast 52?
Oh, no, it has to be 51 part 2, right?
No, it's going to be 51 part 2 because next week is 52. That's our big one.
Yes.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you coming hang with us. Guys, this was our number 51 episode. Part
51st.
51st episode,
like
part 1 of OnPoint, the gaming newscast. Again, guys, we really appreciate you coming and hang with us.
We do.
My lovely panel, Madman and Doodle, thank you so much for hanging. It was a great day of topics, man. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, a lot.
It's been pretty
Do
amazing.
me a favor, if you haven't already, be a pal. Hit the like button. You know, it's free. Just click it and you like it. Makes us happy.
Barry.
You know? And if you haven't, hit the subscribe button.
Yes.
Come a friend. Come hang with us in the chat. It's good times. Hit the
that
bell.
Hit the bell.
You want to know when we go live.
And feel free and welcome to join our Discord.
Oh, yes. That's right.
You're always welcome.
It's right underneath Madman's picture. So you're free to come hang with us. Keep in touch in between podcasts and such.
Yes.
But yeah, guys, with that, we're going to wrap it up. Nice 3 hours and 37-minute podcast. So, guys, we're going to end it there. Madman, Doodle.
Yes.
Until next time.
Until next time.
You're intruding.
You're intruding.
You're intruding.